My Knicks family, what is poppin' with you, man? I know I sent you around the world and back again, trying to find out what was going on with the stream, but I had some connection issues with YouTube. I don't know what YouTube is doing right now. I've been having some problems with YouTube lately, but we're back in the building. We're ready to go. So let's get this thing popping, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being patient and taking the time as I got the technical issues right with YouTube. Anyway, I'm in the building, man, with Tony Crow, Evergreen. We got Joe Madden. We got Divine in the house. And we're going to break down this training camp stuff and look at position battles and everything else that goes along with it, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a dope show. It's going to be a fun show. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing on the road. In the building, man. What's going on, fellas? Tony Crow, what's popping with you today, man? How you feeling tonight? Today, tonight, whatever it is. Can't hear you, my man. Nah, Joe Madden, what's going on with you? We'll let Tony get his what's it called together. What's going on, Joe?
Yo, what's happening, buddy? What's up to the chat?
I'm chilling, my man. I'm chilling. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. So we've seen some good interviews today with the media day. Oh, feeling a little bit more positive than I was before after seeing RJ having a chip on his shoulder and some of these guys ready to get at it. I'm a little bit more positive.
Okay, good. You know? That's a good thing. That's what media week now, right? They're doing media week. That's what it's for. To get you pumped, to get you feeling good, to get you ready for the season.
Yeah, just got to see it on the court.
Got to see it on the court, no doubt about it. Divine, what's going on with you, man?
Hey, I said I'm good, man. Excited. Training camp day, talking about the news, but I'm excited about the season, though. I like what's coming out of training camp so far. I like hearing what everybody talking. I'm extremely happy about the way the younger guy taking steps. I heard they working out hard, so I'm excited, man. I think it's going to be a good year, Sam. I'm looking at some big things for the Knicks this year, but glad to be in the chat, though. Everybody hit the thumbs up for your man. You know what time it is. The thumbs up in the chat, brother.
No doubt. I'm excited too, man. I'm excited. I like some of the things that I'm hearing out of training camp from everybody, but I like some of the things that I'm hearing out of training camp every season.
Correct.
So we'll see if this is a different one. You know what I'm saying? Evergreen, what's going on, bro?
Man, I'm on the road. I will roll down my windows and show y'all the Knicks flags that I'm flying. I fly them every day. I'm super excited right now, baby. I can't, 9 months of no Knicks basketball. This might be the most excited I've ever been for a damn media day after 9 months of no basketball. But, super excited for the team, and I'm ready to see where this goes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Tony, we got you up and going now.
I don't know. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you nice and clear. There you go.
All right. Yeah, man, I'm feeling much better than yesterday. Had a rough day yesterday. I'm in the building today, though. I'm good.
All right, man. So before we even get started, Tony, I'm going to start with you. Tell me what you feel about what you've heard so far coming out of training camp from Tom Thibodeau and from the players that they've interviewed so far.
Well, I was real excited to hear it out of Tom Thibodeau's mouth because I was already saying it. These players are going to have to earn their spot, earn a starting position, earn a rotation position. Nobody's guaranteed anything right now. So he said the best 5 that could win is who's going to play. That's what I wanted to hear from Tom, and he said it, so I'm good with that. Let's see. I heard. What's the center's name? Noel's.
No, it's Noel. Mm-hmm.
I like what he said. Talking defense, he got excited when they said defense. Big smile on his face. So that was great. I heard from Austin today. I like what he said. A chance to step up and play a bigger role. He's always played with established stars, so he had to play a role. Mm-hmm. And now he should have more opportunity to be a better player. I'm excited.
Let me ask you: have you heard anything have you heard anything different though that we haven't heard in previous years?
I mean, no. But I mean, Thibodeau's established. So hearing it from him and then hearing it from some of these last three coaches that weren't really established, it's a different feel. I've never really seen anybody smile when they talked about defense as a player. So that's new. I'm super excited about that. I mean, I think the individual players, I think we've heard different. It's not something we've heard from every player coming in. Some of the things like Madison Square Garden stuff, but the reasons why they're here that's different.
Yeah. So what about Tom Thibodeau? Well, I guess you kind of explained it. Already. Let me ask Devon. What about Tom Thibodeau from the things that you've heard, right? You heard Tony say, we've heard other things, we've heard similar things in other training camps. We heard similar things from David Fizdale. What about Tom Thibodeau and this coaching staff and this regime leads you to believe that it's going to be different, that they're going to do things differently, they're actually going to follow through with the things that they're saying out of training camp?
You know what? I think that Tom Thibodeau, because he was once I could say a president himself. I think his word carry weight to him, not like Fizdale and Miller and Hornacek. That man word carry weight. So I think them people. I mean, the players really see that this cat is locked in. He's no hold barred. You either going to get it done or you're not playing. And I think he's setting a tone from the door, like this is what we're gonna do. And if you can't do it, you can't play. And I think like with Fizdale and them, I know they talk you eat what you kill, but then it goes the other way. I don't see that now. I really think like this cat going to put down a culture. This is what it is, and this is what we're going to do. And I think with RJ talking the way he talking and confident that he's sounding with, they talking about how every player says Obi look nice. So that's what got me excited. I just think that they setting that culture, man, and I think they all going to follow that lead, though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Joe, what about you?
What I've seen with Thibodeau, what's different from every other regime is he means it. There's no screwing around with Thibodeau. Thibodeau's going to go in. He's going to get these guys working. There's been stories of guys throwing up in practice. Like he's going to get them in shape. He's going to get them ready. What I did notice, too, is you never see Thibodeau smile. But when they brought up Obi Toppin, there was a little grin in his face. And everyone kind of said, what about Obi? About how a freak athlete, like we heard from Austin Rivers today, and he said about Obi being one of the most freakish athletes he's ever seen and that he's a hard worker. I really, truly believe that Obi's going to beat Randall out for that 4 position. And everyone talks about, Randall needs to start so we can trade him. I don't think Tom Thibodeau cares about that. He ain't going to play the guy just so he can trade him. He's going to play the best guy to make him win.
He's already said that.
Yep.
Yeah, he's already said that. He's going to play whoever he thinks is going to impact the basketball game. Now, whether that's starting or whether that's coming off the bench, those guys are going to get the minutes. And that's the way it's supposed to be when it comes to basketball. Listening to Tom Thibodeau's interview, I took away a couple of themes, and we talked about it yesterday on the NBK podcast with Evru and Raw Hebrew. One is practice. It's all going to start in practice, right? And that sounds so simple, but it's not as simple as it seems when it comes to the NBA, because there's so many political agendas in the NBA. And, people are like, well, play this guy so that we can get his trade value up. You got to play this guy because we got to see what he has. You got to play this guy because he hasn't had a chance. He's had 4 different coaches. Right? So there's so many different agendas that come along with the NBA, it seems. When you're talking about guys getting paid and CAA and Kentucky and clutch sports and all of that stuff. Right? All of that stuff seems to come to play when it comes to the NBA, and we forget about the basics of just what it takes to win basketball games. And what I really like, what I heard from Tom Thibodeau, is when he said, we want guys to play basketball, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing. We want guys to play basketball. They got to learn in the game. Yes, they got to learn by playing. That's true. But they got to get the practice part right first. They got to get the practice right before they can get it right in the game. And that's essential. You got to get it right in practice first. If you're lazy in practice, what makes you believe just because you're the number 9 pick in the draft, you're going to play? You know, what makes you believe because you make this amount of money, you're going to play? Or because you're the prized rookie, you're going to play? No, you got to get it right in practice first. That's one theme. The next theme is he talks about the work ethic. Right? And if you come to work every day and you do the little things, work ethic and the little things, and everything that I've heard from players who have spoken so far are speaking Tom Thibodeau's language to us during the interviews, right? Hard work in the little things. You heard Austin Rivers today say little things. Oh, no, Alfred Payton. You heard Alfred Payton say little things turn to big things. Yeah, that's true. Do the little things, right? And if you can't do the little things, then you're probably not going to get on the floor when it comes to Tom Thibodeau, right? I like to hear that. And then teamwork. Teamwork. Working together as a team. Understanding that we don't have superstars and all-stars on this team. So if we're going to be successful in any way, shape, or form, teamwork is going to be essential. Right? And hopefully guys on the team are taking it to heart and they're going to preach it to each other, preach it to themselves. You know, that we've got to do this thing as a team. You heard Austin Rivers say today, we've got to outwork other teams that we play against, especially at the Garden, because coming from outside of the Garden, like he said, every night teams come to the Garden. They're going to play hard because they're at the Garden. It's going to be different this season because the fans ain't there. We'll see how much that levels the playing field, if it levels the playing field at all. Obviously, the Knicks don't have, you know, superior talent like the Nets or the Celtics or the Raptors or the Philadelphia 76ers. You know, so they've got to find an edge in other places. And that edge, like Tom Thibodeau said, has to come in the work ethic, how hard you work while you're playing, and being a little bit smarter than other teams.
One of the other big things he talked about was sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
He said it about 4 or 5 times, you know, sacrifice. That can mean a lot of different things, but I know it's something important. You know what I mean? It's probably different things for different players, but yeah, you know, it's going to be a lot of that.
That means a lot of different things, For example, for Julius Randle, that might mean giving up some time for Obi Toppin, right? For somebody like Austin Rivers, that may mean starting at the 2-guard spot, even if you don't want to, or starting at the point guard spot, even if you don't want to, because he's an off guard, can go either position. Starting at that point guard spot if you don't want to. For Mitch, that could mean sharing a lot more time with Nerlens Noel than maybe you expected. It could mean a lot for a lot of players, something different, but everyone might have to sacrifice something in order to achieve
Mitch might
a
not
certain
have
level of success.
Mitch, they could tell Mitch, don't try to block everything. Be selective. We need you on the floor.
Yeah,
you know?
I noticed Mitch might he more or less kind of put it out. Mitch is to fight for his job, because as soon as they asked him about Mitch, he more or less just straight up brought up Nerlens Noel.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Mitch work, yeah. So that's going to be interesting. Like Nerlens Noel talked about that he wants to build a relationship, like a brotherhood with him, and which is the two of them can get the best out of each other by fighting for that job, helping each other, but also competing against each other.
Yeah, I just shout out to everybody what's going on, Joe, Devon.
What's up, Isaiah?
Yeah, man, I'm watching this Gonzaga game right now. So,
And we don't need to hear all that. We're talking about the Knicks, man. We don't need to hear all that. You know, you can go in 20 different ways. Come on now. First you get on the show and you got somebody else's show. You got the Legion of Knicks podcast going on in the background.
Shout out to Gavin.
Right? And we got to mute you because of that. And then you get on and start talking about Gonzaga. Come on, let's talk about the Knicks.
Hey, man, I'm trying to support everybody, man. No, so, you know, when it comes to, you know, when I listened to the interviews with Nolan Noel, Austin Rivers and everything, I definitely love what they were talking about with the camaraderie, with the, you know, the brotherhood. And I even heard that from Obi Toppin about one of his early interviews that he was talking about, you know, we got to make sure that we're a brotherhood and that we're all connected and we're all talking. So I definitely see the language of Tom Thibodeau and everything. And like you said, when it comes to these sacrifices, man, we definitely have to. They have to buy in. Like Austin Rivers said, they gotta buy in. You know, especially if it's like, you know, he said like if they're going through a three game losing streak or something like that. He was like, that's the most important time to buy in. You got to trust the process. You have to trust Tom Thibodeau and the coaching staff, and you know, you just have to make sure that you guys are just we got to be on one. The Knicks have to be on one accord. We got to play together. That's the only way. We're not a talented team. You know, we're not. You know, we don't have the camaraderie. We ain't been together for 3 or 2 years. You know, this is all fresh. So we have to find a common ground within each other so that we can succeed. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said before, it might be like Mitch not going for every block, and Austin Rivers might play point guard, or Frank having to be a 2 guard, or you know, whatever the guys have to do, man, to make this team be successful, not the individual, then that's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we'll see if they can actually do it. Listen, we heard from some of the point guards today. Over the last 2 days, we heard from Dennis Smith Jr., we heard from Alfred Payton, we heard from Austin Rivers. And all of them so far, except for maybe Dennis Smith Jr. a little bit, and I don't say that to say that he said anything wrong. But, you know, when they asked Austin Rivers about starting, Alfred Payton about starting, you know, if you're worried about, you know, the competition and all that kind of stuff, Alfred Payton was like, I haven't thought about it at all. You know, I'm going to do what the coaches asked me to do, so on and so forth. Your standard answer. Austin Rivers, kind of the same thing. Now, Dennis Smith Jr., which I actually respect, you know, he was basically like, if I work hard, if I'm working to achieve my goals, whether or not I reveal those goals to you or not, then I'm successful, you know, and I'm satisfied. Who knows what those goals are that he's talking about? His goals could be to, you know, be the starter, and he should have those type of goals. I'm not mad at that. And he didn't say that. I'm just saying if that's his goal, that's his goal, right? But all of them seem to preach the same thing. You know, we're going to take whatever coach gives us. Everybody says that going into camp. Once you get into camp, you know, things could change. Now, you know, last year people said the same thing going into camp, but I didn't hear anybody crying or complaining or saying, you know, I should be playing like this or I should be playing that. I didn't hear that last year. Right? We'll see how it goes this season. I think Coach Thibodeau is going to be much tougher on the guys than, you know, previous coaches. Fizdale, basically, is who I'm talking about. Right? But since we brought up point guards, let's start talking about this point guard battle, because we have tons of guards on this team, folks. Tons. Last year we had a ton of power forwards. This year we got a ton of guards. And when I say a ton of guards, I mean we have a ton of guards on this team. You know, so let's focus on the point guard battle. All right, we'll go over who we have coming into camp from the point guard spot. Of course, you got Dennis Smith Jr., 6'2", 205 pounds. He's entering his 4th season this year. You got Austin Rivers, 6'3", 200 pounds. He's entering his 9th season. You got Frank Ntilikina. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. He's also entering his 4th season along with Dennis Smith Jr. You guys know the story between the two players. Everybody thought that the Knicks should have taken Dennis Smith Jr. instead of Frank Ntilikina. Not everybody, a lot of people. LeBron James 2. Alfred Payton, number 6. He's 6'3", 195 pounds. He's entering his 7th season. And then you got some other guys. You got Jared Harper. He's 5'10", 175 pounds. He's entering his 2nd season. And you also got Miles Powell, who's in camp. He's 6'2", 195 pounds. He's a rookie. All right, those last 2 guys, we know that training camp deals. Jared Harper is on a 2-way contract. But, you know, it's worth mentioning because they're on the team somehow, some way, and we'll figure out, you know, what happens to those guys as we move forward. But I'm going to start with you, Evergreen. Looking at or hearing the guys that I just listed, what do you think is going to happen? Where you at with it? And who do you think Tom Thibodeau is going to go with, at least to begin the season?
I'm torn by who I think he's going to go with. You know, I think it's going to be between Payton and Rivers, just because, you know, they know basketball better. You know, let's be honest about it. They know more basketball, and they're probably a little bit more adept to being able to figure out new schemes on both the offensive and defensive floor than any of the other guards that we have. At least, especially on the offensive end. You know, not that, you know, I would probably say the upside is going to go to Rivers if, you know, Tom Thibodeau decides to play him at the 1. But if he decides to play Rivers at the 2, then, you know, even if he decides to have him come off the bench or start at the 2, then more than likely it's going to be Payton that's going to start. Do I want Payton to start? No. You know, the entire MBK family knows exactly what it is that I want. You know, I want DSJ to be the guy to, you know, I pray that he's the guy that takes the lead, even though I know he's a limited guy right now. We just got to see what we got in him. But, you know, based off of what Tom Thibodeau has been talking about in media day, you know, it's essentially the same exact rhetoric that we've heard every single other media day, but I seem to feel like I believe what he's saying. You know, there's no reason for him to think to act otherwise. So DSJ is going to have his word cut out for him. Frank's going to have his word cut out for him in his training camp. But I think it's going to be Payton. You know, all eyes are kind of leading towards Payton being the starting point guard.
And you know, the one thing about Dennis Smith Jr. though is, I think he has something over top of all the other guys. And that's his athleticism and his explosiveness. Right? All the other guys, Alfred Payton, Austin Rivers, and I'm not including Miles Powell and Jared Harper, but Austin Rivers, Alfred Payton, Frank Ntilikina, they're kind of the same guy a little bit. You know, all right, Austin Rivers and Alfred Payton, you know, Alfred Payton is a little bit more of a distributor. Austin Rivers is more of an off guard. Frank Ntilikina is kind of a mix between the two of those guys. Dennis Smith Jr. is really the only lightning rod out of the 4.
Right.
And I don't think we can overlook that, because if Dennis Smith Jr. can have, if he can return to form and do some of the things that Tom Thibodeau would like him to do on the defensive side of the ball, and then get back to what he can do offensively, and if he can at least be competent from the 3-point line, then his explosiveness, you know, you get his explosiveness on the floor along with Obi Toppin, you know, that could be dynamic. You know, and
I agree, Tim.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like, you know, when we talk about DSJ on the defensive end, you know, are we considering that game that we had with Cleveland? Are we considering that game that we had at Cleveland? We had 7 steals. Are we considering that a fluke? You know what I mean? Like we put this bad rep on DSJ like he's just this horrible defender. But I would go so far as to say that we were just a horrible team, right? And I think that Tom Thibodeau's defensive schemes and defensive strategies if DFJ can just pick it up a little bit, we might be able to see a solid change. Really, what we want out of DSJ is just a mentality change. Once he has a mentality change and that confidence is built up and it's funneled in the right way, I think we might be able to see something special in that kid. And maybe I am speaking from a biased standpoint.
Speaking from the heart.
I'll be completely honest, right? Like, when I was stationed down in North Carolina, I watched the kid play. I watched the kid play in the off season. My favorite player is Steve Francis. I feel like he's a carbon copy of him with just, worse shooting. So, if we can give Steve Francis defense, then that would essentially be what I would want for DSJ. I'm not expecting him to be this super lights out shooter, lights out scorer, but if he could just have a little bit of competence, on the basketball floor, it'll take you a long way in this league. So I'm really pulling for DSJ, but I'm more importantly, I'm pulling for the Knicks. So I don't want people to be like, oh, all he cares about is DSJ. I'm pulling for the Knicks, and I think DSJ's current skill set is something that can take this team far if it's tapped into and utilized the right way.
Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
To me, DSJ, I think he's the same as RJ. He's a chip on his shoulder. Last year, you can't, like, a lot of Knicks fans are criticizing him for last season. Yeah, last season was a disaster. He was arguably possibly one of the worst players in the NBA. But when you think about the injuries, his stepmother passing away, like, a lot of stuff happened to him last year, and mentally that can screw up with a lot of people. So I had a full year off. He's arguably the best shooters in the game that ever played the game. I think he's a chip on his shoulder. I think he's going to win the start, come back and win the starting job. You said
who is who? Oh, you said he was working with Abdul Rauf because you broke up a little bit. He was working. Okay.
Yeah. He was working with one of the best shooters to ever play the game. I think he has a chip. Yeah, he has a chip on his shoulder, and then I think Tom Thibodeau likes an explosive point guard. That's what DSJ is. And I think he can work. There's a lot of things he needs to work on. But I think especially with having Johnny Bryant there, who's known for being magical with point guards, I think having him there too to help teach him. And then with Tom Thibodeau's defense, I think DSJ could win. I think he can win the job. I'm not saying he's going to come out in camp and win it. He might. But I think maybe over the season, he might start showing improvement in training camp where he could get the job. Because this is it for him. No, he has no value in the league. So if he doesn't show improvement, he's going to have to go overseas and play. Because I don't see him, because it's a contract year too. If the Knicks don't give him a contract, I don't see any other team giving him a contract.
Okay.
So this is not only just basketball wise, it's financially for him too. It's a big year. So I think that's going to be going through his head. And I think I want to see him do well. I'd like to see him being our future point guard. I'd like to see it. I'm hoping for him. I'm rooting for him because I like the kid and I like his style of play. But we just got to see it out of him. And I really hope and I really think he can. I'm not saying he's going to be our future, but I think he can come at least be like a spark off the bench. He could be our starter this year, and next year maybe come off the bench and be a spark. Be like a Lou Will or something off the bench. But
yeah,
that's
okay. All right, we're gonna see what he can bring. I'm hoping. I want the kid to do well, too. I want him to do well. I want him to play well. I want him to be the best version of Dennis Smith Jr. that he can be. It's not gonna be easy for him. Divine, I want to ask you about Austin Rivers. Because we've never seen Austin Rivers, and he mentioned it today. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of shows ago, not a couple of weeks, a couple of shows ago, that Austin Rivers has never played on a team where he wasn't overlooked by, I don't want to say overlooked, but overshadowed by star point guards, right? Never. So he's never had a chance for it to just be, he's never been in a situation like this. Do you think that Austin Rivers, he's 28 years old, and by the way, the Knicks don't have a player over 30 on this team, ladies and gentlemen. The oldest player on this team is Reggie Bullock at 29, and he just turned 20. Well, he turned 29, I think, in March. The Knicks don't have a player over 30, over 29. Just wanted to throw that out there. Austin Rivers, 28 years old. I mean, is he too old to have a breakout season? Right? Is he too old to have a breakout season? Do you think this is the chance that he's been looking for to say, now I can prove myself and live up to the hype that I had coming out of college? What you think, Divine?
No, I think he had that mentality, the mentality to want to do that, because I think playing behind Westbrook, Chris Paul, he probably never got that. If I was a starter, I could, he never ran the team. I never seen him run a team on his own other than backing up other superstars or whatever. But I know he's going to come in there wanting that starting point guard job, and I don't blame him. He should. I think he got the talent. I think he been around long enough to know the ins and outs of basketball. I mean, his father, come on. I mean, what I'm concerned about Simmons, he only took $3 million for 10 years. So to me, it ain't like, are you confident in yourself that you had to take $3 million? You know what I mean? So that's telling me is, how do you think you're good enough to deserve more? Because I'm like, well, but if that's not the case, I think he can get the job. But me personally, before we switch topic, I want Frank. I think people better watch out for Frank. I think Frank fits what Tom Thibodeau want, because when you got Obi, RJ, them going to be your primary scorers. And Frank got a good rapport with RJ. I mean, these cats, when they on the court together, that backcourt is nice, it's tall, it's and they get down. So I think Frank gonna come in there on this contract year, hearing all the noise, and every time Frank been here 4 years, and he's still here. But I think though he fits what Tom Thibodeau wants, because he shoot a three better than what my man Payton. He shoot three better than DSJ, and I think he's gonna even prove any better, because last year, before the season was over, the last 11-something games, he was shooting over 40%. He was starting to get to the hole. I think that competition gonna be deadly at the point guard, but I'm hoping Frank is the one that win that job. But I think Austin Rivers, I definitely can see what he's gonna do, because I think he determines. He's like, I'm gonna prove to these people that I'm not just my father's son, who's like, you know what I mean? I got a father who played in the league, and I'm not good. I'm really on his saddling his footsteps. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Austin Rivers got the talent to definitely start that point guard spot, though.
Okay. See, what I like about Austin Rivers is that he comes with a load of experience, even though he's 28 years old, right? I don't want to, only 28. He's 28. I mean, he's right. He should be at the prime of his career. 28 years old. He should be about at the prime of his career. And he's played on good teams, playoff teams. Most of his career, he's played for the Los Angeles Clippers for most of his career, right? Played a few seasons with Houston. I think in the beginning of his career, he was playing with the Pelicans. Okay, and they weren't good teams in New Orleans when he was playing. But he's played on some very good basketball teams, and he's played behind Chris Paul. How much do you think he's learned from Chris Paul? Right? Of course, he's played behind Russell Westbrook.
Harden.
and Harden,
Yeah.
We'll see we'll see if he's able to have a career year. His best season was with the Clippers in 2017, 2018. He averaged 15 points and 4 assists. That was his best season in the NBA. See if he can eclipse that, because, if the Knicks are going to at least be competitive, we're going to need Austin Rivers to play some minutes, because he's a good defender. And, he's got some, not championship level experience, but experience with playing on very, very good teams. And the Knicks are going to have to rely on that experience. As far as Frank Ntilikina, I I think Frank is going to end up being the same type of guy as Austin Rivers, right? That off guard type of guy that can play point guard or shooting guard. I think that's what he is. I'm having a hard. We'll see about Frank Ntilikina if he wins that spot. I don't know if he's gonna get that spot. I too think that the spot is either going to Alfred Payton or Austin Rivers, just based on the way that some of the things that Tom Thibodeau was saying and talking about. All the guys I think are going to put it out there in practice. Not all of them have the same defensive intensity that maybe Tom Thibodeau was looking for. And then the attention to detail is something else that I think Tom Thibodeau is going to be looking for. And I think you're going to get that better with Austin Rivers or Alfred Payton than you're going to get with Dennis Smith Jr. and Frank Ntilikina. Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be your lightning guy that can come in and give you some, give you some strikes that get the team going. Frank Ntilikina is going to give you that defense. Here's the one thing that I want to kind of debunk about Frank Ntilikina and the Knicks and him being extended or signing in another contract with the New York Knicks. Everybody's always like, if he doesn't show out this year, meaning if he doesn't show out on the offensive side of the floor, do you get rid of him? Right? That's always the question that I hear. Do you get rid of him? Do you get rid of him? My answer is no. And here's why my answer is no. Right? Just because he is not going to end up being an offensive player, or maybe he doesn't end up being an offensive player, to me, that doesn't say, well, we just we gotta let this guy go because he can't score the basketball. I think you now look at Frank through a different lens, and you say, we know what you are. We know that you're a defender. We know that you're not going to score. We're going to give you a salary that's commensurate with what you do on the floor. Right? So just because, his contract says that you got to give him a qualifying offer of this amount of money, you don't have to. And you can let him become an unrestricted free agent. But if both teams are like, or both sides, Frank Ntilikina and the Knicks are like, we want to make this work, then you look at him for what he is, right? Just like they signed Nerlens Noel. They didn't sign Nerlens Noel so that he can come in and score 20 or 15 or even 10. They signed him so that he could be a defensive center to protect the rim and to play defense, to grab some rebounds. They signed him for what he is and who he is. When Frank Ntilikina gets at the end of the season, they're going to sign Frank for what he is and who he is. If the Knicks don't, somebody will, for what he is and who he is. So, no, it's not obviously, if there's a really good trade out there and you got to throw Frank Ntilikina in, then maybe you do. But I just don't get it. Sometimes you can look at a player and say, you know what? Maybe he's not what we thought he was going to be. But if he has a distinct skill that we can use, then let's use it. And Frank Ntilikina has a distinct skill that, in my opinion, you don't find from guards every day in the NBA. And you need somebody who can defend guards who are offensively inclined. You need someone who can defend Kyrie Irving. You need someone who can defend Kemba Walker. Hopefully Kemba gets healthy. The Russell Westbrooks, the James Hardens.
Exactly.
You need someone who can defend these guys. So it doesn't mean. Yeah. So to me, I don't feel like you got to just get rid of him just because he doesn't do something that you would like for him to do. You say, this is what he can do. We're going to pay you for what you can do.
Sam, what's my man, Roberson, used to be for Oklahoma City. Yep. Andre Roberson, him and Tony Allen. Them cats impact the game. I mean, one thing about Frank might not score 20, but you ain't scoring 20 on him either.
Exactly.
That's where Frank's plus coming out. I be telling people, Frank might not get you 20, but you ain't scoring 20 on him either. So it's a plus there. Yeah, man. That's what I liked about Frank. He like, listen, I might not be the 15, 20, 30, but you ain't putting that shit on me.
Exactly. Now, I'm seeing in the chat that Westbrook just got traded for John Wall.
John Wall.
Wow.
We missed the boat
has
on that one.
Yep, I'm looking at Agent Wojnarowski right now, that Houston has agreed to trade Russell Westbrook to Washington for John Wall and the first-round pick. So I guess they traded him for the pick, but I just don't understand. I don't get the logic.
What that logic is they're trying to get somebody else to play with to keep Harden there. That's what that is.
Right, but John Wall has the same exact contract.
Yeah.
Right? It's not gonna make the team. Yeah, okay, maybe he's a little bit more willing to give up the ball to Harden, or I don't know, to play whatever style of basketball they think they're gonna play in Houston. But to me, it's kind of a wash as far as who the players are, and we'll see if John Wall can stay on the court. Now, unless they're gonna waive him, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess they did it for the first round pick. I don't know. And for the Wizards, they're getting Russell Westbrook. They gave up a first round pick. They're gonna be better. Maybe it helps them to get into the playoffs, but it's not gonna be championship bound. They're gonna be meddling in the middle.
But they got Bradley Beal.
Sim, I think you found out
Hold
something.
up, one at a time. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Sim, I think right now what we're witnessing is that James Harden will be traded within the next couple of months. I think it's almost given now. And I'm going to say it right now, I don't think it's going to be the Nets.
No.
I really don't think it's going to be the Nets.
They don't have the assets.
They don't have the assets. I'm telling you right now, I believe he's most likely going to go to like
Philly, I think.
I'm going to be real with you. I can see Denver.
But look, here's the thing with this. You say that James Harden is going to be moved. To me, okay, maybe he's going to be moved, but why? If you're going to move James Harden, right? Why bring in a player that still has a contract that goes to 2023? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand what they're doing over there.
That part I can't explain to you, Sim. Like that part I can't explain, but this is insane. I think that was so just like a wash of a trade that I don't. It was really not worth that first round pick, not whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, you're trading the same contract for one another, but you're getting the first round pick. You know, is it going to make them better as a team? I don't know.
If Wall's healthy,
you got to remember that first round pick is a late rounder anyway. With Houston, being that they're going to be a winning team, so
well, not necessarily.
I think Houston is getting the first round pick.
Houston's getting the pick. Yeah, Washington give up the pick.
Right, Houston is getting the pick.
Ain't Westbrook 1 year less though, Sim? Ain't Westbrook contract is 1 year less?
He got 3 years left.
Both of them have 3 years left.
Not 3? Oh, okay.
Well, what I could see happening is I could see Beal then getting fed up after a year with Westbrook, him wanting out. Westbrook gets the team, and then that pick could be in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did they say what year is the pick?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the headline.
We didn't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, let's get back to the Knicks. We can talk about that at the end. All right. Since we're talking about James Harden, let's move into shooting guards. Talk about shooting guards. All right, because I think we all have an idea who's going to be our starting shooting guard this season.
Damian Dotson.
Right? and
he's got jokes.
Right. And, as long as he's going to use this guy, by the name of RJ Barrett, as long as he's going to use him at the shooting guard spot, you assume that he's going to be the starting shooting guard, right? Is he going to use him at the shooting guard or is he going to use him at the three? Here's the thing. We're kind of low. Like, when we look at who our small forwards are going to be, we don't have a lot of depth there. Okay?
Alec Burks.
But let me go through this. Obi Toppin. Come on, dummy.
I'm being sarcastic, sir.
Come on, Big Bubba.
Listen, first of all, who put me as Big Bubba? Because I promise you, if I find out who did, they're going to get the hands of God.
Hey, Big Bubba. Let me go through what I'm going through. People get frustrated with you.
Listen, I promise you, me. Whoever calling me Big Bubba, I'm going to catch you.
Big Bubba in the building. Anyway, number 9, RJ Barrett. He's 6'6", 214 pounds. He's in his second season. I'm expecting a huge jump from RJ Barrett this year. I want RJ Barrett to average at least 20 points per game. That means he's got to improve his three-point shooting. That means he's got to improve his free throw shooting because he can get to the line. He uses his body very well and he can get to the line. I'm expecting this guy and want this guy to average at least 20 points per game. Clearly, I think he's our starting shooting guard. Then you got Alec Burks, number 18. He's 6'6", 214 pounds. He's in his 10th season in the league. He's only 28 years old or something like that. Emmanuel Quickly. I know some people, and he's 6'3", not 6'4". My bad. But Emmanuel Quickly, some people asked about him. Why is he not at the shooting guard spot? At the point guard spot. I think he's, I don't know. He could be at either spot. It's just that there were so many guys there. I said, let's put him in the shooting guard spot. All right, because he can knock down that three-point shot. He likes to play off the ball. Maybe he can play some off guard. He could probably go over and play point guard as well. But I put him at the shooting guard spot. All right, he's wearing number 5, and don't look anything into him wearing number 5. Dennis Smith Jr. changed his number to number 4 before Emmanuel Quickly was even drafted. All right, so don't even look into that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't even look into that. All right, let's finish this. You got number 44, Jacob Evans. 6'4", 210 pounds, his 3rd season in the NBA. The Knicks got him through trade. Right? He's not expected to make the team, but he's in training camp. And then you got Theo Pinson. Number 21, Theo Pinson, ladies and gentlemen. 6'5", 212 pounds. He's in his 3rd season in the NBA. And let me tell you what. People don't like Theo Pinson. People don't like him because he can't shoot the ball and all that kind of stuff. But guess who likes him? Leon Rose likes him. Leon Rose likes him because of his character, what he brings to the locker room, those type of things. It's our shooting guard lineup right now. A lot of guards. I mean, when you look, there's 2 of those guards are not, Jacob Evans is not expected to make the team. Theo Pinson is on a 2-way contract. And if you go back to our shooting guard spot, you got 4 guards that are already on the team. And then you had 2 that, Jared Harper from our point guard spot. Jared Harper is on a 2-way contract. Then you had Miles Powell, who's in training camp, but still, that was 6 guards, 6 point guards. And at the shooting guard spot, you got 5 of them. And 3 of them are expected to be on the team. And at the point guard spot, 4 of them are expected to be on the team. You got 7 guards. And that doesn't include Reggie Bullock, who, for all intents and purposes, I was like, you can't put him at a guard spot, even though he is a shooting guard. You probably got to use him at small forward because we're so thin at small forward. But we'll go over that. Tony, what do you think about the shooting guard spot, man? I don't expect any surprises, but what do you think?
Well, I think the majority of the chat and the fans think RJ is going to eventually become a 3.
I do as well.
I think, man, why not start now, and have him start building that way. That cuts down on the glut. And then the crazy part is I would probably still want Bullock starting. So I don't know how that are you moving Bullock to the 3 and Bullock to the 2 and just making them interchangeable. But I guess if RJ's gonna go to the 3 and I'm gonna start somebody else at the 2, maybe that ends up being Rivers.
See, I think if you're gonna start somebody else at the 2, and it's not gonna be RJ, go with a shooter, a guy that can be a knockdown shooter. So maybe you look at Alec Burks because he can be a knockdown shooter. I think Alec Brooks understands that he's maybe going to come off the bench, but he is a guy that averaged, what he averaged last season, 15 points a game for the Philadelphia 76ers, something like that.
Sim, so, personally for me, right, if we're talking about shooting guards, I agree with you with the shooter. If it's me, I'm either starting Reggie Bullock, Alec Burks, or Frank Ntilikina. Preferably, I would go with probably Reggie Bullock, because I want Alec Burks to come off the bench and give us some firepower. You know what, Sim? Kind of want.
So if you hold up, if you're going with Reggie Bullock, are you saying that RJ is going to play the 3?
Yeah, I'd put RJ at the 3. I would put RJ at the 3 this year, just to get him that feel of it. And I would put Reggie Bullock because I kind of would want to prefer, if Frank don't start at the point, I'd prefer him to lead the point and the second unit, because with a second unit of maybe Frank, Austin, either Obi Toppin or Randall. I think Nolan Oil, I like that second unit. That's a good second unit that can either maintain a lead or keep everything going for us. But I would definitely want to go with a shooter in the 2 guard position. So either Reggie Bullock or Alec Burks, to me.
So Alec Burks, he shot 41% from the 3-point line last season for Philadelphia. For Golden State, he shot 37% from the 3-point line. Overall, he shot 38.5% from the 3-point line. For Golden State, he averaged 16.1 points per game. For Philadelphia, he averaged 12.2 points per game, and he did that in 20 minutes. Overall, last season, he averaged 15 points per game and 4 rebounds. This is a guy that, I don't know how well he is or what he is on the defensive side of the ball, right? But he is a guy that could surprise some people and and pop up in a starting spot because of his ability to spread the floor. So depending on what that starting lineup looks like, he could end up in that spot, and then you move RJ Barrett to the 3. I could see it happening because he is such a good shooter. He shoots 36% for his career, but the last few years, he's been really shooting at a higher clip than 36%.
Yeah, it's Sim. At the end of the day, right? For RJ's game to truly, for us, for the way we want RJ to be, he needs shooters around him. For the kickouts, for when he drives and the lane close and he passes out, we need to get shooters around him. The last couple of years, his starting 5s have not been any type of spacing. So I definitely believe that we have to have a floor spacer in that starting unit with RJ so that we can see his potential that we all hope he can be. Because again, this dude has not had spacing whatsoever his first college year, and then his next year. So definitely we got to get some shooting. Either, I prefer to have it in the 2 guard spot or in the point guard position, and maybe some Julius Randle doesn't really shoot that good. So I would like the 4 position, but listen, I would take the first 2 positions, and they have some shooting so that we can get some spacing.
We need spacing on the floor. Hopefully this season, we have better shooters than we had last season. Look, last season they tried to bring in shooters. Let's not act like they didn't try to bring in shooters. Right. They tried to bring in shooters last season. And, everyone gets mad and talks about these guys like they didn't shoot well for other teams before they came to the Knicks, because they did. Wayne Ellington shot well, right? What's his name shot well? I can't even think of his name. Guy from Bobby Portis shot well before he came to the Knicks.
Bobby Portis wasn't bad, though. Bobby Portis wasn't bad for us.
Well, from the beginning of the season, he wasn't knocking down anything. Then towards the end of the season, he started hitting them shots, right? But those 2 guys were shooting well coming from another team. So was Reggie Bullock. He got to the Knicks and it dipped a little bit.
I think injuries and personal reasons kind of hit with Reggie Bullock. I think this year he should be a lot better. Especially if he could have a better ball, because what kind of killed the Knicks too last year was not a ball handler. You guys sitting wide open just didn't have ball handlers getting to, the guys were getting to their spaces. Yeah.
And I think the difference when you look at who we signed last year, some of those role players like the Bobby Portises and Wayne Ellingtons and even the Alfred Paytons and Julius Randle, none of those guys came to us from a playoff team. The only guy that came to us from a playoff team was Marcus Morris. None of those guys came from a playoff team, right? So we picked up guys who were playing for teams that weren't really that good, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they had a bad culture in that wherever they were. It's just those teams weren't that good. This year we brought in some guys who are coming from playoff bound teams. Right, Alec Burks, he played most of the season with Golden State, but he ended up playing with Philadelphia as well, and he was productive with Philadelphia. He's coming from a playoff team. Austin Rivers is coming from a playoff team.
Yeah, Noel.
Right? Noel is coming from a playoff team. Right, those type of things can be infectious because they bring that experience to the team, and they understand what it takes to get to the playoffs. Noel's been in the playoffs the last 2 years. Austin Rivers been in the playoffs the last 5-6 years. Right? Alec Burks, I don't know how long he played. Let me see. Where was Alec Burks before he was in? He's been a journeyman, but he played for Utah for a little while. I don't know. I believe they made the playoffs some of those years. Cleveland in 2018-19. Sacramento, he got traded to Sacramento. Then he got traded to Golden State. So, you know, he hasn't been in the playoffs for the last 2 years or so until he played for Philadelphia. But he's had a taste of the playoffs before. That's important. That's important. They brought in role players, but role players who's been playing in playoff games and had important roles in playoff games.
That's the most important part.
You know, so that's important. And I think, you know, people look at it because they're not fancy names. Right, but those guys are going to have an impact on Alfred Payton, Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin. They're going to have an impact on those guys because if you look at not Obi Toppin and R.J. Barrett, they've only played for the Knicks in the NBA. Obi Toppin hasn't played, but when you look at Alfred Payton and Julius Randle, they haven't played on a team where they had playoff players around them, right? No. They've been part of teams that haven't made the playoffs, and it's not like, you know, they had all these players that had this playoff experience and could teach them this and that. No, they haven't had that. So now they have some tutelage in front of them as well that can help them out either in New York or elsewhere. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Alfred Payton, he always knew he was coming back to the Knicks if you listen to his interview today. He said at the end of the season, we already knew what was going to happen. It was the plan for me to come back. So think what you want. That was the plan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was kind of like a safety plan. I think they were kind of looking at other point guards, but eventually like other point guards fell through. Like you seen DJ Augustine went to a playoff team. Jeff Teague went to a playoff team. So like, I think they just had that kind of like as a backup plan in case anything else fell through.
And I mean, that could be. I think that with Alfred Payton, it was kind of like, we're going to bring you back, even if we do get a Chris Paul, because you're going to back him up. Yeah. Something like that. You know what I mean? Because, you know, a lot of people, to me, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, Payton gets some undue hate.
Yeah, he does.
He played well. He can't shoot the ball.
Here we go.
He can't shoot a lick. But he played well. He's a good defender, right? I don't know why people look at him and say, you know, oh, he sucks on defense. I've seen people say that. I'm like, where are you at with that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And yes, I see in the chat someone said Julius Randle had Kobe. He did have Kobe for a year or two before, you know. Yeah, he had Kobe for a little bit.
And Alfred Payton got that dog mentality too, though.
But yeah, you know, Alfred Payton played well last season. I'm sorry. And the Knicks played better when Alfred Payton was on the floor.
Right. We had 4 wins before he came into the lineup.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Isaiah started talking when someone else was talking again. What'd you say, Joe?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
No, it was Anthony. That was Anthony.
No, I said he had we had 4 wins before Payton got into our lineup.
Yeah. So
Was it like 4-17 or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, people look at it because, obviously we were a bad team, and so people, everybody wants to basically get rid of any player that has to do with a bad team, like they can't help a team that's getting better. But to me, Alfred Payton did not play bad last year. Is he gonna be a starting point guard? In the future for this team? Probably not. But you know what? He's 26 years old. We look at Austin Rivers and say, you know what? Austin Rivers could do this, could do that. Well, Austin Rivers, 28 years old. He hasn't been a starting point guard either. But he obviously he's done it for better teams. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to, that's always got to play in the equation because he's, put up whatever numbers he's put up, but for playoff teams. Right, so that means a whole heck of a lot more because he was on playoff teams. But Alfred Payton did not play bad for us last season. I just don't know where people get it from.
Y'all must have got a piece of that contract from Payton. Y'all must have got a piece of that contract.
I don't need his contract. I'll just say that. Let me get to the phone call.
We don't need the money, brother.
Let me get to the phone call. Let me get to the phone call. Caller, you live. What's popping, man? Hey, caller, you there?
Hello, everybody. Hi, Sam.
Hey, what's going on with you, brother? How you feeling?
I'm all right. Called in from the wonderful cold world of Orlando.
Oh, okay.
30,
all right.
30 degrees down here.
You said it's 30 degrees down there right now?
Yeah, it's been 35 today. Probably a little cold tomorrow and back up to 80.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. You guys are hurting down there.
I have a different take on everybody's gloom and doom this season. National media, local media, even what I see on the chat. I don't think people really understand the value of maturity and coaching, and they're just summarily discounting that. If you think about the Knicks, the last time we had a sensible coach was when Woodson manned those sidelines. We have had absolute nonsense on those sidelines up until you can make an argument Mike Miller took over and the team started looking sensible. And if the pandemic didn't hit, we would have passed that 21 win mark that Vegas had set last year. And so now we go into this season. Mitch and Knox are going into their third years, I believe. And Dennis Smith and Frank went to their fourth. RJ's into his second. Throw him and Obi out for a second. I'm expecting one or two of those guys going to third and fourth years to actually make a significant jump. Now, I'm not talking to become like some superstar, no. But there's something to be said when you walk into the NBA as a teenager versus when you hit the age of 21, 22. And I hear Dennis Smith working out with Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, which was a wonderful thing. Didn't even know that happened until I heard about it. And now we have coaches and development people. It wouldn't shock me if this team gets in that 27, 28 range. People may laugh and say, what is that? Well, go back to when Philly, before Embiid came off an injury, that team had a lot of young players. And they had, they kind of had a 20-win mark, and all of a sudden Embiid, who's a star, but those guys were brought along, the Covingtons, the Dario Sarics of the world, and then look what happened to them. So I think we just can't discount maturity. We can't discount coaching and development, something we have not had here for a long time. And let's just see. The last thing I would say, if Randall's on this team, I'm not sure Obi's going to start. I don't think you're going to replace 20 and 10 right out of the gate with a rookie. If Obi does that in training camp, then we have a star in our hands. I wouldn't be surprised. I think Randall probably needs to start. So,
hey, I agree with everything that you just said, all the way down to Julius Randle. And I know a lot of people throw hate my way about it, and say that, Julius Randle is my guy. It's not that Julius Randle is my guy. It's just, that's what I believe. I agree with everything that you just said. A lot of people forget about the maturity of some of these young guys. And RJ Barrett, I think, to me, is going to be a lock to make a jump. There's going to be another player, at least one more player, that makes a jump, I think, this season. Yeah,
I would agree. I can see RJ. RJ sounded like he really took it to heart, not making an all-rookie team. Didn't see a lot of Instagram videos. Looks like he was rather irritated about that. And I think he's primed to look like he might do something, especially the way he wants to play. I see a lot of I can see Thibodeau really working with him, like Jimmy Butler. I just see a lot of Jimmy Butler in his game in a sense at this age. So yeah, I think I see some things happening. At least with the environment is going to be very different. The cultures you can see you turning that aircraft carrier. It's not going to turn around quick, but it's starting to change. It's going to change a little bit, and then hopefully that portends to certain things. So,
yeah, I agree.
Thank
with
you very
man.
much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the call, brother. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sam, I just wanted to say something to the caller about that.
Oh, he's gone now, but go ahead.
Huh?
I say he's gone now, but go ahead.
Yo, you're on one
He didn't want to
tonight.
talk to you, but he'll listen. But he didn't want to have a conversation with you.
Yeah. No, I
He
was
knew
gonna
that
say,
wasn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah. I was gonna say I wouldn't really be. I wouldn't take too much into if Randall starts over Obi Toppin. I wouldn't put too much into that. If he doesn't beat Randall in getting a starting position, because at the end of the day, right? I mean, Randall is regardless of how people feel about him, he is a 6-year veteran, 7-year veteran. He's been around the NBA. He knows what to do, what not to do. So it's like, no, I wouldn't put too much stock into that. And again, right, even if Obi Toppin comes off the bench, again, right, if this team wants to succeed, it wouldn't be the worst thing for Obi Toppin to come off the bench with like a pass first kind of guy like Frank coming off the bench with him and having a couple shooters around him too.
Yeah.
Off that. It wouldn't be bad. Yeah. So I don't want people to be like, if Randall gets the starting position, oh man, what are the Knicks doing? What do to Obi? Man, don't worry about that. I mean, let them earn it. And again, if we have a second unit that's really good, the Knicks can do something. You know what I'm saying? So please don't put all your stock into that.
And to use Isaiah's term, at the end of the day, if Obi Toppin is going to be the guy that we think he can be, right? No matter what happens, it's going to end up being his spot at the power forward if he ends up being the guy. Whether or not he starts this season or not, it'll end up being his position if he is the guy that we think he can be. There's some questions that I have before. I mean, listen, he's 20. He's got to grow, and he's got to develop, and he's got to learn some things, right? But I want to see how he rebounds on the NBA level. Right, because he, in college he averaged what, 5 rebounds a game or something like that.
7.
A lot. What'd you say?
I think he averaged like 7.5 rebounds a game.
Okay, I need to look it up. I'm not exactly sure what it was. Right, but is that going to translate to him rebounding in the NBA? Right. To me, he's got to get some footwork together to be a better rebounder. I think he relies a lot on just his athletic ability. I have seen him box out in some of his college games. He's going to have to do it, consistently in the NBA, but can he rebound in the NBA? That's going to be important. Okay. We know that he can knock down the 3 in college. In the NBA, it's going to be a different story. Why is it going to be a different story? Because you're going to have guys closing out a lot faster. Right. In college, he's 6'9", 6'10", and he was towering over players because he's in college. Well, when you get in the NBA, you got another 6'9", 6'10" guy closing out on you. You going to knock it down with that kind of speed coming in your face? We'll see if he knocks it down. The defenses are going to be more aggressive, right? So you don't know how a guy is going to react, how their confidence is going to react when you reach the league. So we've got to see. We assume he's going to be able to knock it down because it's the same distance, right? Well, it's not the same distance. College and NBA is different distance, but he was able to shoot it from the NBA distance in college and knock it down. So we assume, well, if he did it in college, he can do it in the league. It's not that easy. The ball swings a little bit faster. Are you ready? Are you in position? The defenses rotate faster. The defense is more aggressive. All of those things make a difference. In college, they play a little bit more zone than they play in the NBA. So, we've got to see, does he still knock down that 3-point shot? As far as him posting up, he wasn't a great post-up guy in college, How is he going to do in the NBA? We'll see. Let me tell you something that I see, and I'm going to break it down and hopefully be able to do it on Friday on Coach's Corner. But when he posts up and he drops to the basket, his feet are really close together. And then he jumps and he uses his body and his strength to jump through his defenders and score the basketball. Well, guess what? When you get into the NBA, those guys are going to be just as strong. A lot of them are going to be. He may not be able to jump through his defender and score the basketball. So his footwork is going to come into play as well. And I'm not putting him down. I'm just saying some things, every rookie coming into the NBA is going to have things that they need to work on in order to grow. And do I believe that he can do it? Yes, I do, 100%. I think he's dedicated. I think he's a hard worker. I think the Knicks got good guys around him, and he's going to develop to reach his potential. But looking at him coming into the NBA, there's some things, and, guys are cue in on it really, really quick. There's a lot of really, really good coaches in the NBA, and they will cue in on it and let guys know this is how you shut this guy down. So, there's a lot that we got to see what he can do. And the way it goes in the NBA, look, with RJ, there wasn't anybody better at that position. Just wasn't. Not even close. Well, Obi, if you think he's better than Randall, cool. But at least there's somebody there. With RJ, there was nobody there. You know what I'm saying? That there's someone in there that he's going to be in competition with, which is a good thing. It's a good thing for him to come into the league and have to deal with some competition. I just can't wait to see him play and get out there on the floor and look at some of these things and watch what he does. But it's going to be we're going to talk about that battle in a little bit.
Hey Sam,
all right,
just to chime in real quick, right? You know what's so crazy to me nowadays? Back in the day, right? I mean, I was a kid, but back in the day, Kobe, AI, all these guys, Steve Nash, a lot of these dudes came off the bench. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got the guys, like you had the guys back in the day, like, what's his name? Hugh Grant, was it? I said Hugh Grant. What's his name? What's his name from the Pistons? Number 33.
Oh, Grant Hill?
Yeah, Grant Hill. You got guys who had that kind of talent that started automatically. But
call that man Hugh Grant.
Man.
Come on,
He's
man.
a good actor. That's a good actor.
Come on,
but,
man.
But it's just so crazy how nowadays where it's like, I feel like people will go in an uproar if the rookie's not starting. When it's like back in the day, all these rookies had like a veteran guy that they had to beat out.
Jeez, what are you doing? Let me get you a phone call. This guy he's falling off his table, falling out his chair and everything. Calling you live. What's popping?
Oh, come on, man.
I'm gonna let you get your bearings, man. What was going on, man?
Let the Smashburger chef get his bearings together, son.
That's right.
While I try and talk myself off this ledge again. So I want to ask you something, Tim, because I'm listening to you, and I know you're the dean of the telestrator. You get all your Friday works in, and I hear you praising Alfred Payton and stuff like that. Are you psychologically prepared to go back to the lottery?
I'm psychologically prepared for anything that's going to happen with the team.
Okay. So,
anything that's going to happen with the team.
So losing is a part of your DNA now?
No, never. But I'm psychologically prepared for whatever's going to happen to the team.
Because
I am the type of coach. I am the type of coach. When I always look at things from a coach's standpoint, and I've coached some really, really bad teams. Right, I've gotten some teams where all of my seniors graduated out, and I had nothing but young guys, and I had to look at it and say, "All right, let me look at the strength of my players and try to put them in the best position to be successful." Right, and we might start off getting our ass whooped, but by the end of a season, we're winning. And we might have to go into and then we got to take it into the next season. And there have been times when at the end of the season we was losing, and we took the same team into the next season, and was able to start winning Why? Because I understood what the guys' weaknesses are. I understood their strengths, and I was able to use them according to what they did well and not just focus on what they did not do well. And I think that's how good coaches coach. You look at what players can do, and you focus on what they can do, and then you know, obviously players have weaknesses, right? And you try to find ways to, you know, while they're working on their weaknesses, you say, okay, I know this guy can't shoot, so this is the position I got to put him in to be successful, to spread the floor, open the floor up so that this guy can shoot, this guy can shoot, and you put the right lineups on the floor to help out the players that you have. And that's what happens when you have mediocre teams. You know what I'm saying? So I choose to look at what are the guys' strengths and how can I use their strengths to the best of my ability to help the team to be successful. You know, because if you're just looking at the guy's weaknesses, every single player is going to have a weakness.
That wasn't where I was going with it, but you're right to a certain extent. You're a Giant fan, right?
I'm a Giants fan, through and through.
Okay. What's the name of your offensive coordinator?
You know, I can't think of his name. You know, he coached with the Cowboys. I can't think of his name, but you know.
He used to coach Dallas, right? How many 8-8 feel-good seasons did he have before Jerry Jones and his son finally had to say, we got to get him up out of here? See, my point is this.
I mean, Jason Garrett. I had to make sure I got it out, but.
Right. He had about 4 or 5 8-8 seasons with talent, a franchise quarterback, this, that, and the third, and money to spend, and a brand new playpen to play in. Right? He had like four or five of them. I think they had like one season where they went in where what's the name with the touchdown? That wasn't a touchdown against Green Bay, whatever. The point is, all of those feel good, you know, we're 8-8. All you're doing is what? You're not doing anything. You're standing still.
But football is it's hard for me to do a football and basketball comparison because the two sports are just so different in the way that you play. I mean, you can literally have a team. You can literally have a team be the worst in the NFL, and the next season be one of the top teams.
Totally correct, and I'm glad you said that because leading right into my next point.
And with the same players, though.
Okay, but with a team like this team right here, okay, with a proper engine to pull it, a star player to pull it, those young guys can camouflage a lot of their weaknesses. You know why? Because people are going to be paying attention to the star player. Why am I looking at Westbrook in Washington now to play with their bunch of bums instead of him being here to play with our young guys and our cast-offs?
Yeah. Hey, listen. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Right? Having with this group right here, with the team that we have right now, if you had a star player, this team could look totally different, and someone could become a star on this team that you didn't even realize would become a star because you have a star player. I agree with you 100% because they draw so much attention. I get you.
Okay. Didn't LeBron take that Cleveland, that 07 Cleveland team to a finals? Okay, with who? Who was his best player? Bobby Gibson. My thing is, we're sitting here again in the total reverse that we was last year. Now we have 7 point guards or 7 guards.
We do.
Flash, whatever. How the hell do you have 7 point guards with none of them being the clear point guard to lead this team unless you were trying to go back to the lottery? See, there's one thing about that man, James Dolan, and I said it before the last time when I came on this air. James Dolan gives you air, gives you time to do your thing, and then all of a sudden, this is how he gets to firing people. Because the plan isn't what you told him the plan was going to be. Now we're going to sit around here. If they were willing to chase Gordon Hayward and try to give him a 4-year deal, okay, a ring.
But they
no. They didn't give him a 4-year deal.
No, they were going to give him a 2-year deal. They wasn't trying to give him a 4-year deal. They backed out. They was like, nah, this is too much. I think this regime was very smart this offseason. They didn't get the talent that they expected, but they signed guys knowing that they didn't get the talent that they expected. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what can you do if a guy turns you down and says no? What can you do?
You know what you could do? You could have turned to Houston and made that trade instead of watching John Hall going to Houston and Brody going to Washington. That's what you should have did. Okay? That's what you should have did. That's what these young guys and these pieces here needed around them. I don't understand with Knicks fans. Don't you guys want to go back to the playoffs? You guys want to be in playoff contention?
Of course.
Of course.
You want to sit around here? You want to sit around here next year and wait for the next OB and talk about what he's gonna possibly be next year? How long have we been doing this? We haven't been to the playoffs in 8 freaking years.
But see, the thing is,
do you think Russell Westbrook with this team was gonna bring us to the playoffs? Who was we gonna jump over with Russell Westbrook on this team?
We would be way more exciting. We'd be right there somewhere in that 8th, 9th seed, somewhere right around there fighting for it at the end. Somewhere fighting for it.
Way more exciting is not in the playoffs. Who was we going to jump over, though? That's what I'm going to. Who was we going to jump over to get into the playoffs with Russell Westbrook?
Ain't nobody in the playoffs right now. But with him as part of pulling that wagon, we'd have looked a lot more playoff ready. Okay? You think Vegas would have had us as winning in 22.5 games? The way they have us winning right now, 22.5 games?
That's Vegas. I ain't worried about Vegas, right? But you know what though? That 22.5 games is a little bit different than last year's 22.5 games because you're playing 10 games less. And we may get to 28-29. You get to 28-29 wins this season, right? You're very close to 500 because you're only playing 72 games. It's a little bit different. We'll see. And that 22.5 games, I think the Knicks are going to be better than that, to tell you the truth.
Me too.
I think they're going to be better than that. Look, I understand, about getting a player, right? Me, I wasn't for Westbrook. If they would have got him, obviously I was going to support him. You know what I'm saying? Not that I think Westbrook is a bad player. I'm not a fan of his style of play. That's me. I'm not a fan of his style of play. And I'm willing to wait.
I'm not the biggest fan of his style of play neither. A month ago, I was on the phone with telling y'all, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but you know what? Sometimes you have to veer a bit. You got to veer a bit. And here's a dude who's still in, the better part of his prime, and we're watching him. We rather mass 7 point guards with none of them clear cut to take this. This is the same thing as we did last year. So what we're doing here right now, we're putting it on Thibodeau and his staff to what? To carve something out?
That's what they're getting paid for. Yeah, that's what they're getting paid for. They, make them at least look respectable so that you can attract some people. You know what I mean? How old is Russell Westbrook? 32 years old? I don't know if he's on the better half of his prime. I think he's on the lower half of his prime.
He was still, dude, he had 27, 8, and 7 last year.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm not gonna hold you because I was calling here feeling good to talk to y'all, and then right as I dial the phone, I see that Woj bomb come across my phone, and I'm telling you. And no, it's not that broke my heart. Then I hear you talking about Alfred. Then I hear you talking about Alfred Payton and can you imagine Alfred Payton starting this year with his broken jump? He has no jump shot. I heard y'all killing Michael Gilchrist.
But hold on.
No jump
Listen,
shot.
I never said that Alfred Payton was a long-term starter. Even if we got Russell Westbrook, Alfred Payton still might have been the backup and still got 20 minutes a game. And so all I said is Alfred Payton was not horrible for us last season. That's all I'm saying.
We won 23 games last year. Was it 23 or 21?
I get that. I get that. Okay, so was RJ?
He's bad as everybody else. Outside of RJ and Mitchell, he's bad as everybody else.
Hold on. No. What you mean outside? How can you say outside of RJ and Mitch? If Alfred Payton was bad last year because we had a bad record, then every player was bad last year because we had a bad record. You can't just say, well, not RJ Payton, not RJ Barrett, and not Mitchell Robinson. I mean, listen, people complain about Frank Ntilikina only shooting 5 shots a game. Mitchell Robinson only shot 5 shots a game, believe it or not.
Mitchell Robinson put in 70% 5 shots a game.
Yeah, he put in 70% because he got alley-oops from somebody else to dunk it. Not because he created it. Not because he created it.
You're right, but you can't compare him. You can't compare him unto people who's supposed to be directing the offense. I'm just saying what I'm saying. Like it seems like for this, for this team, everybody, people always go about, who they care about. Like you just said. Well, everybody outside of RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson had a good season, but we were still sorry. So we were sorry. So Alfred Payton couldn't have played well for us. I mean, if that's the logic, then nobody played well for us. You don't want to call out the bad seeds of this team. You've been doing this for too long, Sim. You've been doing this for too long. You got this coach's speech. You got to stop it. You got to stop it. You got this. You're my brother. I'm sorry. You got this losing DNA in you.
I don't have no losing DNA. Hey, I've won multiple AAU championships, bro. I have no losing DNA.
No, I'm talking about with the Nick Nation here. You got too much Alfred, too much. You confusing me with Randall and Alfred, and you got 7 point guards.
Yo, this is the team that Leon Rose gave him, so you got to figure out what to do with him. This is the team that he gave him. You got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
All right. But, hey, I'm not gonna keep it. I'm gonna try and talk myself back down because
please do, man.
Yo.
Y'all my brothers, so Nick's family, you know what it is.
I appreciate you, man. Peace.
All right,
peace.
No,
we got that stigma with us, man. I tell you, these cats.
So look. Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say it to him. I was like, I understand. I was all in on the Westbrook train getting him in. But when you think about it, too, Westbrook would have brought us to what, 6, 7, 8 seed for what, 2-3 seasons, and that'd have been it.
Maybe the 6th, 7th, or 8th seed.
Yeah,
maybe
that's fine with me. Okay, playoff basketball, you get the Knicks into the playoffs. But also the best way is this year to see what we have. And this year being in the bottom of the lottery is not a bad thing with this draft. You can get a superstar in that lottery to build for the future and be in the playoffs for the long run instead of this sitting in mediocrity for 2 or 3 years like Orlando has done. So, I understand, yes, I want the playoffs, but I want to be in the playoffs for 6, 7, 8 years. With a superstar.
Yeah.
And I think being in the top 4 of the lottery will get us a superstar to go with RJ and Obi to build for the long run and to be in the playoffs for a while.
Well, listen, my mindset isn't coming into this season saying, oh, yeah, we're just going to look. We're going to look at next year's lottery. That's why I haven't, I see people making videos about players in next year's lottery and doing all kinds of stuff. I'm not even looking at that. I'm focusing on what we do this season. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because, listen, last year, with the team that we had last year, remember, the playoffs it's a little bit of a different story this year because you got the play-in tournament. We were in 12th seed. We were a game and a half out of being in that 10th seed last year. Right? If you can get to that 10th seed, maybe you get into the play-in tournament. Maybe you win a game or two and get yourself into the 8th seed. I don't know. But with Westbrook, somebody tell me, I'm going to name off some teams, right? And everybody in the chat, play along with me. Tell me if we leapfrog these teams with Russell Westbrook. We'll start with Milwaukee. Do we leapfrog Milwaukee?
No.
No. Do we leapfrog Toronto?
No.
Boston?
No.
Indiana?
No.
Miami?
No.
Philadelphia?
No.
Brooklyn?
No.
Orlando?
Yeah.
Maybe Orlando. Okay, so we named 7 teams. Maybe we can leapfrog Orlando, but are we better than Detroit? Are we better than Atlanta with Russell Westbrook? This season's Atlanta.
No, that's where my point was. All the teams ahead of us, like Charlotte and Atlanta, I got better. I got a lot better.
Right. Are we better than Charlotte with Russell Westbrook?
Maybe.
Right. So you're still, even with Russell Westbrook, you're still looking at this team maybe vying for a 10th seed, maybe a 9th seed, and then trying to get into that play-in tournament. And because you're probably, those teams that we named, the top 7, you're not leapfrogging them.
No.
With Russell Westbrook, in my opinion.
Washington in there. Washington just got, Washington got.
Well, now Washington hasn't, but if Russell Westbrook would have came to us, So I mean,
Washington might have been hard to beat if they had John Wall healthy.
And John Wall, Beal, and Beatron. They signed Beatron because they ain't had John Wall last year. Now having John Wall, Bradley Beal, and Beatrons, come on.
And they just got Denny Avdija in the draft, who can be solid.
Right. So I mean, so then you're looking at hoping that you get to the 10th or 9th seed with Russell Westbrook, but you're on the hook for $130 million or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So
I rather, to be honest, like I hate losing, and I'm never the one for tanking. But I rather be in the top 4 or 5 of the lottery than sitting at the play-in tournament and possibly not getting in, because at least then you can add to the young talent and then with a top 4, top 5 pick, especially in the draft.
Yeah.
Hey, Sim, you know what I realized? I think we a lot of Knicks fans are so hypnotized by losing. Even in last year's team, regardless of what everybody, that wasn't a bad team. We had 21 wins. We missed 16 games because of the pandemic. If the Knicks would have got the 30 wins last year, that would have been an improvement. And to come into this year, I think people don't understand. You got almost a couple of nice young talents. You got a structured 7 first round in the next so many years. You got almost $70 million in cap space. You got young, developed talent. I don't know why everybody goes so negative about the Knicks. It takes steps to get. It's different levels to this shit. You can't come from the garbage to the championship. You gotta take steps to get there. And I think we are taking steps. I think when Scott Perry came there, despite what people may say, the Knicks never been in this position. Since I've been a Knicks fan since I was a kid, the Knicks never been in this position. All that cap space, all the draft picks. You got a coach. You got young talent. When the last time the Knicks ever been like this since we've been fans? A long time. I think that people need to get off that negative thing about the Knicks and say, you know what? I believe this team is so versatile. We got a lot of wings now. You ain't got no 7-point guard. You got guys who can play the point guard and a shooting guard. It's not necessarily we got multiple guys to do multiple things. You got a bunch of wings. Now last year we had a bunch of bigs. Now we got wings. You know what I mean? Now I just think that people need to give Nick credit where credit due. I understand we get caught in the past about the negative we got, but we did that with Antonio McDyess, Carmelo Anthony. We gonna get the superstar. He get injured, and then we stuck. Now we finally did the right thing for once in 50 years since I've been a fan. And everybody's still complaining.
Yeah, the media is hitting us in, they didn't get the guys they want. Yeah, we didn't give Gordon Hayward $120 million, but I guarantee if we did, they'd be hitting us that we paid him the money.
Yeah. Well, look. The one thing, we're having so many, we got a lot of guards and stuff, right? But I think the one difference that we see here is that Tom Thibodeau is going to come up with his 9 to 10 man rotation and rock with it. Right. Somebody gets hurt, then maybe he jumps in. You know what I'm saying? Then he put somebody in, but he's gonna rock with it. Where with Fizdale, he didn't come up with his 9 to 10 man rotation and just rock with it. And I think that's gonna be something different that we see because you got this 9 to 10 man rotation and you rock with it, and they start to develop some chemistry. They start to develop some camaraderie. And you start to see them play a little bit differently. Let me get to a couple of super chats here. Then we're going to go on to the small forward position. Albert Grant, he said he thinks Austin Rivers is going to start Dennis Smith Jr. off the bench, and then Frank is next. Thank you for the super chat. That could be. Again, I'm not going to count out Alfred Payton, man. Kaiser Soul said Payton was not good last year. I disagree. He said he's been mediocre to bad his whole career. He's been mediocre his whole career. I agree. I don't know what people look at as, being bad. I mean, 10 points, 7 assists. Bottom line, if Alfred Payton could shoot the three and he knocked down that 3-point shot and he went from averaging 10 points to 12 points a game, 13 points a game, and 7 assists, people be like, yo, he did work. It's basically that 3-point shot to me. Wayne Davenport, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. And then Pedro Matos, he said, everyone has a chance in practice. Let the 8 to 9 man rotation shake out. And if someone isn't doing it in the games, it's the next man up. I agree. Let's see how this rotation shakes out and how Tom Thibodeau can put it together. He's been known to be able to put together some strong teams without having a star. When you look at Derrick Rose was out. You had Joakim Noah. Then you had a bunch of other guys. Right? Some good guys, some good players, and not just a bunch of bums, but some good players. So we'll see how it shakes out and what Tom Thibodeau can do. You know what I mean? Let's go on to the small forward position, because when we look at the small forward position, man, there's not a lot of depth there, Tony. Not a lot of depth at all at the small forward spot. So, I'm really hoping that Kevin Knox can come through. But you got Reggie Bullock, and Reggie Bullock can play the shooting guard or the small forward position. He's kind of small at the small forward position, though. Last year when I was watching defend against LeBron or someone like that, I was like, yo, he's small. Even Marcus Morris was small when he defended LeBron. LeBron is just huge, but some of these other small forwards, he's kind of small, but he's a good defender. Right? 6'6", 205 pounds. He's in his 8th season. You got Kevin Knox, the Enigma. That is Kevin Knox. Number 20. He's 6'7", 215. He's in his 3rd season. He's the guy that you would hope really fits that mold of the point guard spot. I mean, the small forward spot. With the length and the size that he has, I still think he's going to end up being a power forward. When he gets later in his career, but from what I've heard, he's lost some pounds. He's got a little bit thinner. That doesn't necessarily mean you lost strength, but he got a little bit thinner. So hopefully that's going to help him defend at that small forward spot. Right? He's the guy that, though, I think people are looking at to say, we need you to step up and take that position. Right? You got Michael Kid Gilchrist. He's 6'6", 232 pounds. He's in his 9th season. This is the beginning of his 9th season in the NBA. Right? He's a defender. He's not a shooter. You've seen the pictures. Right? So, we'll talk about if he's even going to make the team. And then you got number 17, Ignaz Brazdeikis. He's 6'6", 221 pounds. He's in his 2nd season. And if Iggy's not careful, ladies and gentlemen, if Iggy is not careful, he could lose it. He could lose it, man. So, Tony, I'm going to start with you. We know that Reggie Bullock can step in and play that position if necessary. Can Kevin Knox step up and take over that position this season?
Like starting?
Yeah. Can he step up and say, this is my spot? We'll let RJ Barrett be at the 2. This is my spot, because he can be a shooter to help spread that floor.
I don't think there's enough time for him to do it to start the season. But hopefully he can progress throughout the season and earn that spot. But I don't think there's enough time for him to show enough improvement. I mean, unless Thibs is just going off a completely clean slate, and he's not taking anything in the past into consideration. But I don't think you could do that as a coach. I think you got to look at everything you know. You know what I mean?
See, the only thing that I get scared about when you do that is that then you come in with some preconceived notions like, listen, this guy's not going to work hard, this guy's not going to do that, and then you start to see it even if it's not there, right? If I think that a player doesn't work hard, every time I see this guy, sit down for a second, I'm like, yeah, see, he don't want to work. And he may be sitting down the same amount of time as the guy that I think works the hardest, but I look at him and say, he's sitting down every chance he gets. You know what I'm saying? I think a coach has to come in, you got a new team, and say, you know what, I'm giving everybody a clean slate. Show me what you got.
But I also, when I say completely clean slate, I mean, there's certain things that he can look at and that could work in his favor. So, like when Knox first came to the Knicks, I don't know if it was like the press conference interview or whatever, but it was definitely very early in his career. I want to say before he even played a game. And one of the things that he said was he likes a coach that stays on top of him. You know what I mean? Not going to cut him no slack. So I'm looking at, if Thibs knows that, that's going to fit right into what Thibs likes to do. Then you got a Kenny Payne who already has familiarity with him. But I think it's going to take some time. I don't think he could earn it in, what are we talking, 15 days?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
15 days. Let me see. They're in the middle of training camp. They're in the middle of individual workouts right now. Then they're actually going to start team workouts next week.
On the 6th, right?
Right. So they start team workouts and then they jump right into, on the 11th, they play their first preseason game. So
I think it's going to be tough for him to earn it, but I think he could definitely earn it within the first month and a half of the season.
Because if you look at what the Knicks have on this team, you kind of need Kevin Knox to step up, I think. Right? So that RJ Barrett can play that 2 if he's going to play the 2. And then Kevin Knox can be, because he has the length that you want at that 3 position, he can play the 3 for you. He can shoot the 3. And I think he can and will shoot it better. I look at him, maybe not this season coming up, but soon, in the next couple of years, he'll be shooting 40% from the 3-point line. I believe it. I think he can shoot the ball. You know what I mean? He's got to deal with his confidence right now. And I think that's the biggest thing holding him back. He's got the tools. He's got a lot of tools. He's got to deal with his confidence. I think once he gets confidence, man, he's going to... I think once he gets... I really do feel like once this kid, gains his confidence, people are impatient, but once he really gains his confidence... You heard guys like Dennis Smith Jr. today say, I developed as a player, or maybe it was yesterday. I developed as a player, but overall I grew as a man. That means a lot in the NBA. One of our callers earlier said, we overestimate or we underestimate the value of experience and maturity. This is one thing with Kevin Knox, that experience, that maturity, he needs it. He needs that maturity, and if he matures a little bit more this season, I need, for this team to go where they could one day go, I think Kevin Knox has to be an essential part, should be an essential part if he develops right. This season, especially, if the Knicks want to have a chance in fighting for a 10th, that 10th spot in the Eastern Conference, Washington Wizards just got better. It's a tough battle ahead of them. They're going to need Kevin Knox to step up this season.
One thing that I really appreciate with Knox, and I don't think a lot of people automatically do, but being a young player and then having to deal with the diversity that he's dealt with already, I think that's always great to deal with early in your career and while you're young. Get, bad experience is experience, and then on top of that, he had a pretty good rookie year, so he should have enough confidence to know I'm more than what I did last year. I just had a bad year. You know what I mean? Like, he had something to reference to say, I know I could do better than that.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be to his advantage as well.
Yeah. Divine, what do you think, man? Can Kevin Knox, can he make a leap? And before you do that, Isaiah, I don't know what Isaiah is doing, but, we just got a black screen. If you're not going to be there, man, just turn the camera off. No one wants to guess what you're doing over there that you got to hide the screen. Just turn the camera off, man. Where is he? I'm going to kick him out. I'm going to kick him out of here. Go ahead, Divine.
Yeah, Sam, I think that small forward spot between him and Reggie Bullock, I think Knox is going to be, to me, going to be the most improved Knick to me. I'm just saying my personal opinion. I think he's going to be the most improved Knick this year. I really do. That kid is talented. I mean, the kid, he can shoot. He can put the ball on the floor, go to the hole. He run the court well. I mean, I think now with Kenny Payne coming in, like he had the cat lethal shooter working with him during the summertime, and Kenny Payne coming in, and I think this cat been through it. Like Anthony said, sometimes adversity can be a positive thing. You know what I mean? You go through the adversity, and he went through that last year. But I think Kevin Knox, he's a gym rat. The brother do stay in the gym. I just think I love his game, man. Even when he first got to the Knicks, I was like, you know what? This young boy is going to be nice. Then last year with all these forwards they brought in, it kind of threw him for a loop. You know how it is. And so I think now I really think Kevin Knox is going to fight. I hope he beat a small forward because I think he's talented enough. With this group of guys that we got now, I can see Reggie Bullock backing him up. He shouldn't be backing up no Reggie Bullock, to me. I mean, unless Thibs see it from a different standpoint. But if Knox matured, I would love to see. We need some shooters in there because I put Mitch, Randall, Barrett, and Payton. You got to have somebody at the three who can shoot. You know what I mean? Somebody got to shoot the three.
I mean,
this is a three-ball league. You know what I mean? This is a three-ball league. So if you got Payton, Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and Julius Randle, and you got nobody who could drop a three-ball in that lineup, that's scary, bro. So I would like to see Knox take that step. He got the height. He got the rebound size. If he can put it together defensively, but I'm really confident he's going to bring something to the Knicks this year, man. I really do.
I hope so. Joe, what do you think, man? And then I'm going to get to a call, and then what do you think?
I think exactly what Devon said. I think he just needs a bit more development. Calipari did say 3-4 years, so we're in the third year now. And my idea is, if Knox can't beat out Reggie Bullock, Michael Gilchrist, or Iggy, I don't want him on the Knicks.
Right.
Because he don't got it. He don't got it. And I want, yet again, like the same with DSJ. I think last year the Knicks literally done them dirty. The Knicks they didn't help RJ either by giving him no spaces. They done them dirty. And I think this new regime is going to look into these guys. I think the main reason why Kenny Payne was brought in was basically for Knox, because he knew him through college, and I think he's going to be in here and he's going to be working hard. He's had 9 months, which 9 months is like 3 off seasons to work on his game, to get better. And I think not from day one, maybe from day one, but eventually during the season, within the next month or so, I think he should be pushing for that starting 3 spot.
Okay, so where do we give a player, what is the year now that we say, if this player doesn't show it in this year, they're not going to show it? What is the year now? Because I think it's changed. Everyone used to say the third year. I don't think that's it anymore.
They said a second. To me, it's the third or fourth year. You got to give them a little bit of time to develop. Look at, for example, Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram took this year his fourth year or his third year? It was his fourth.
Sure.
And he went from averaging 9 to 12, back to 9, and then up to 23 points a game. Yet he moved team, but still, it took him 4 years to get it, and he was the most improved player in the league.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Ingram stayed on a steady incline. He averaged 9 points a game, 16, 18, then 24.
Okay.
Yeah, stay down the steady incline. Right.
And I mean, not for nothing, we don't even, when Brandon Ingram was in the league, was he not playing under Kobe? Was he playing under Kobe that first year?
He played with Kobe that first year. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
He's played with Kobe that first year, and then
under LeBron.
Following year, Kobe retired, and it was the Lonzo Ball era, and then the next year after that was LeBron. So he never was really given a real coaching opportunity to play under a solid coach.
Same as Knox.
Exactly same, and I'm glad you brought that up, Joe. Same exact thing. Not that Knox was playing under a superstar caliber player for any of his seasons, but it's again everything that we're chopping up with in regards to our players being bad. You can go back and attribute that to say, and we have an even more valid excuse by saying we had horrible coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you look at Knox, his first season, you would look at him and say, "Yo, this guy might be doing something." Right? He averaged 13 points a game.
Mm-hmm. And then they threw him to the bench.
Right? He averaged 13 points a game. He was getting, how many minutes per game was he getting?
20.
He was getting 29 minutes per game. So he actually averaged 12.8 points, basically 13 points. Right? 4.5 rebounds. He was playing 29 minutes a game. Last season, he went down to 18 minutes per game, and he was averaging 6.4 points per game. Basically, with the drop in his minutes, all of his statistics dropped in half. Right? He lost half his minutes, just about half his minutes. He did everything just about halfway.
And that's basic basketball statistical logic. You don't give the guy minutes to play, then you can't expect them to put up 30 points in 5 minutes, in 13 minutes. You know what I mean? You can't. So again, when we start talking about our youth and what we have, we don't know what we have in any of them. In any of them. We've had horrible coaching systems that we can chop up to Frank. Horrible coaching systems that we can chop up at DSJ. Same thing with Knox. Hell, we can go so far as to say same thing with RJ and Mitch. Mitch was only able to utilize this rim runner mentality, this rim runner skill. We don't know if the guy can shoot. Same thing with Knox. We see he can shoot, but he wasn't given the ball to shoot. He wasn't given the ball.
Yeah, so the question is, did his minutes drop simply because you had Marcus Morris and some other guys there?
I think so.
And so they said we need to play Marcus Morris, or did his minutes drop because he was not good enough to beat those guys out?
Nah,
I'm saying it's Marcus Morris. You think
that was the one trade he should have did.
That's basic logic. It's Marcus Morris, bro. If it wasn't Marcus Morris, then why did we trade Marcus Morris for a pick? You see what I'm saying? Like, if it was legitimately like, okay, we're looking at, allowing Kevin Knox to grow, but Kevin Knox is bad. In that case, then that means you don't have any faith in Kevin Knox, and he should have been somebody that would have been in a package to be moved somewhere, and we keep Marcus Morris. But we automatically knew when Marcus Morris got to this team that no matter what his output was, he was going to go anyway because he was looking for a $64 million bag that he wasn't going to get in New York. So Marcus Morris was here simply to build up draft stock, trade value, so that we can get something back. We didn't have any real intentions on keeping him, although there was scuttlebutt talk about us potentially trying to sign him back again. But realistically, that was a pipe dream, and we knew that the intention is to build up his value so that we can move him. Nobody was expecting him to be the best shooter in the league for the first half of the season. I sure as hell wasn't thinking that he was going to be have the highest 3-point percentage in the league before the All-Star break. But nonetheless, he was, and that was more incentive. That was way more incentive to get rid of him. But even if that's the case, Kevin Knox didn't really start getting that burn at the three until Marcus Morris was gone. In the beginning of the season, Kevin Knox was only averaging like 12, 13 minutes a game because Reggie Bullock was the one that was, for the most part, backing up Marcus Morris. And then we had that circle jerk between Reggie Bullock playing the 3 and the 2, and Wayne Ellington coming off the bench. There was a lot that was going on there that had no real inclusion of Kevin Knox.
Yeah. Well, see, there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot happening because actually in the beginning of the season, the first 10 games. Here's the first 10 games of the season for Kevin Knox. Game number 1, 13 points, 5 rebounds. Game number 2, 16 points, 1 rebound. He's got to get more than 1 rebound. Game number 3, 7 points, 8 rebounds. Game number 4, 14 points, 2 rebounds. Got to get more than 2 boards. Game number 5, 10 points, 3 rebounds. Game number 6, 12 points, 4 rebounds. Game number 7, he scored 2 points, 3 rebounds. Game number 8, 14 points, 2 rebounds. Right? Then, his minutes started to drop after that game. After he scored 14 points and 2 rebounds, his minutes began to drop. Then he played 14 minutes, he got 6 points. 22 minutes he got 10 points. Then he played 32 minutes. 22 minutes, he got 9 points. Then he played 32 minutes, he got 10 points. After that 32-minute game, he had 10 points and 4 rebounds. After that, his minutes dropped. 14 minutes, 19, 10, 8, 17, 11, 21 minutes. His minutes dropped significantly after the first 10 games of the season. So the question, first 11 games of the season, his minutes really dropped. So then the question is, did his minutes drop because he couldn't rebound? He wasn't rebounding the ball. Did his minutes drop because he wasn't playing well? Because he was shooting well from 3. The first 2 games, he was 7 for 8 from the 3-point line. Then he went 0 for 3. Then he was 2 for 5, 2 for 5, 2 for 7, 0 for 3, 2 for 3, 2 for 2. Right, 1 for 5, 2 for 4, 1 for 2. So in the beginning of the season, he was shooting really, really well. When his minutes dropped, everything else dropped.
Confidence dropped.
Right, his confidence dropped.
Rhythm. Yep.
And that rhythm dropped. So, the question is, why did those minutes drop? And was he ever did he ever get an explanation as to why my minutes dropped? Did it just have to do with the rebounding? Did it have to do with his defense?
I think it was because Marcus Morris started putting up good numbers, and they were thinking, okay, this guy's putting up good numbers. Let's keep playing him. So trade bait.
Right. And then not for nothing. I mean, you're talking about the first 20 games of the season. Did everybody forget that we went 4?
That's why he wasn't playing after that.
You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we can chalk it up to, okay, what are we doing that we need to fix right away? Not that it's just Kevin Knox, but we have to try to do something different. The production that Kevin Knox was giving you wasn't production of a team that was going to be winning, right? That was production of a team that was getting their ass beat night in and night out, right? So we can't say it's just a Kevin Knox's bad productivity issue, right? Even if you want to chalk it up to the first 10 games, 15 games where he was doing well. He might have been doing well, but it wasn't attributed to any wins. Not to say that he was supposed to be the only contributor, but we were playing horrible basketball. Horrible basketball.
I agree.
So at some point in time, as a coach, whether you're Fizdale or Marcus Morris, you got to say, all right, we got to try something different because the continuity that we have is not contributing to no wins.
Right.
So, and Marcus,
but why? But and Evergreen, if you could adjust your camera a little bit, we can only see your mouth. There you go. But why Knox though out of that group? Simply because of Marcus Morris? Because Marcus Morris was still getting his playing time. Wasn't like he wasn't playing.
It makes logical sense to me, and Kev just jumped in here. I'm sure he can explain it because he's a big Knox guy too. It makes sense to me. If you take if you take Kevin Knox's minutes and you chop those in half and you give it to Marcus Morris, which is essentially what happened after that decline, you get to see Marcus Morris's productivity skyrocket. And all of a sudden he's shooting 45, 46% from the field. 45, 46% from the 3. And, his value shoots up enough to where the Clippers are willing to give us a first round pick for him, So.
And it backfired on him.
and I mean, granted, yeah, it backfired on him, but nonetheless, you know, if we were winning, say we were at 500, you know, say we were 10-10, and Kevin Knox was still giving you that same productivity, would now the new idea be we're going to trade Marcus Morris now? No, nope. We wouldn't have got anything from him without that productivity. We probably wouldn't have got a first round pick for him. We probably got a late second round pick for him.
I mean, but but this is the thing. Even during that time, Marcus Morris was getting minutes. Listen, the first 10 to 12 games of the season, right, when Kevin Knox was, you know, he was getting minutes and putting up buckets, and then all of a sudden they just dropped off. This is Marcus Morris, the first 10 games of the season. 39 minutes, 33 minutes, 28 minutes, 31 minutes, 31 minutes, 39, 34, 32, 40, 31 minutes. Like, he was getting minutes at the same time. I don't know who.
So whose minutes jumped up then? Because
I don't know.
Reggie Bullock. When Reggie Bullock came back from that injury,
Reggie Bullock was still out at that time.
He was hurt.
Okay, so that leaves that circle jerk that we were having with the point guard position. Remember, there was a few games that we had Trier playing. There was a couple games where RJ was playing. Did Dot start getting minutes then? Like, the minutes went somewhere. Like, the minutes
they went to somebody. They had to go to somebody. They didn't go to Frank Ntilikina. I mean, nope. actually, Frank Ntilikina was getting some minutes at that time as well, though. Let me see. Frank Ntilikina, the first 3 games, he didn't play much. He played 2 minutes, 3 minutes the first game, didn't play the second game, 18 seconds the third game. I remember that really pissed me off, right? Oh, yeah. When he put him in like the end of the half or whatever it was. I was like, what the hell did you do that for? And then he played 22 minutes, 29 minutes, 37 minutes, 14 minutes, 38, 37, 34, 28, 18, 35, 29, 32, 35, 31, 21, 37. You know, he played some minutes. I don't know, you know.
You know what, Sam?
I don't know who it was that took Kevin Knox's minutes. You know, we'd have to really take a look at it, take a deep dive. But somehow, some way, somebody took his minutes. And the only thing that I can think is that either he wasn't playing defense, and, you know, maybe it's the both. They didn't like his defense. They didn't like his rebounding.
No, in my opinion, I think once they signed Morris, I think the writing was on the wall that Randall and Morris were going to get the bulk of the minutes. I honestly, truly believe that, because before those guys came on, I had Kevin Knox penciled in as a starter, as either the 3 or the 4. Once those guys came in, that was all she wrote. That's my opinion. I think that was his mentality as well. And I had so many people convince me, like, well, if he's a professional, he should be able to play wherever he's, you know, coming off the bench or whatever. So I went along with that. I think Kevin Knox's confidence got shot because I think he thought he was going to be the starter.
Plus he was 18 years old. He was a young kid. He was a kid. Exactly. He's like a freshman in high school and the senior come take his girl from him. He was a young kid. Marcus Morris came in and took his girl from him. Yeah, he lost confidence, you know.
Well, but I mean, I'm just saying, you know, at the beginning of the season, though, he was getting playing time at the beginning of the season, at the same time as Marcus Morris, at the same time as Julius Randle, because Julius Randle got consistent, you know, minutes throughout the season. He was getting minutes at the same time as those guys, and then somewhere along the line after that 10th, 11th game, they decided you no longer deserve minutes, and I'm just wondering why.
I think it was when Payton come back, because weren't they running a lot of RJ at the point? Yep. They ran RJ a lot at the point, and they put Kevin at the 2. Payton come down, I think like was it like 12 or 15 games or something into the season he come back. Because you know they started Trier at the point, and then they started putting RJ at the point.
Hey, Joe. Joe, remember when they put Knox at the 2 when he had him?
Yeah, they started Knox at the 2. Yeah, one of the games.
Man, that shit was a debacle, man. That's last year. That coaching last year was a hot mess.
Yeah, that's when RJ had something to do with his finger. I think he had just a small hand injury or something. He was out for one game, and they put Knox in the 2.
I mean, Alfred Payton didn't come back until the 21st game of the season. Knox lost his minutes well before then, so who knows what it is. But hopefully Kevin Knox can take a step forward this season. Let's take a look at the power forward spot, because that's the hot issue this season, right? You know, who's going to be at the power forward spot? That's the hot issue. Right, so we'll run down. And listen, we're not like behind Julius Randle and Obi Toppin. We're not deep at this position at all.
Where we were last time.
Right?
No, we're not where we were last time. Last time we had 4 power forwards. Like,
so
we're not where we were
Omari
last time.
Spellman. Omari Spellman's nice. He can shoot the 3. Not much experience.
Right. We know he can do that, but he's got to get in shape. Okay, so at the power forward spot, you got Obi Toppin, number 1, Obi Toppin. He's 6'9". I'm saying number 1, his number is number 1. Obi Toppin, 6'9", 220 pounds. He's a rookie. First season in the league. Then you got Julius Randle, number 30. He's 6'8", 250 pounds. The 7th season in the league. Whew. Right, then you got number 2, Omari Spellman. He's 6'8", 245 pounds, and this is his 3rd season in the league. And because of this lack of depth, Omari Spellman may be on his roster instead of Ignaz Brazdeikis. Right? Yeah. He may be on his roster because of Ignaz Brazdeikis.
Wait, Sim. We don't have the depth at small forward either. So
we don't.
Why wouldn't that leave a guard position most expendable?
Maybe, but the only reason why I say that is because you can play Reggie Bullock at that small forward spot. You can play Kevin Knox at the small forward spot. And you can play RJ Barrett at the small forward spot.
Yeah,
right.
That's why I think Knox might get. That's why Knox might get minutes over between the power forward spot and small forward.
Yeah,
I think when they do trade Randle, I think Knox will get spot minutes at the 4.
I think so too. That's why I would say Knox to play that 4 as well. I think.
And I've been caping for a long time for Kevin Knox to be at that 4, just because his lateral movement is horrible. But he actually was. Everybody seems to forget, but he was 2nd on this team in blocks in the first half of the season amongst Julius Randle, Marcus Morris, and Bobby Portis, who are all playing the 4. So I would much rather, will it be easier to give Kevin Knox, big-footed Kevin Knox lateral movement, or would it be a lot easier to just make him put on weight throughout the season and have him, play defense in the paint at the 4?
Yeah, see, I think, from everything that I've heard, Kevin Knox has lost weight this season. He's gotten thinner. Yeah. That doesn't mean he hasn't gotten stronger, but to me that says you're playing the 3.
Yeah, I don't want that.
If they're having him to lose weight, that means they want him to be lighter on his feet. They want him to try to be a little bit quicker so he can defend threes instead of playing at that 4 position. He's 6'7". What was he? 215 pounds, something like that.
Yeah. To be honest, I'd rather him at the 3, because if they can get his footwork going, I think I like him at the 3, because he has the length and he has the size to defend threes. It's just
I would much rather have him as just a forward. Don't give him, on the offensive end, he's a little quicker than your average 4s, right? And on your defensive end, he can probably defend 4s a little bit better. He's a little bigger than, as far as height, he kind of fits right there with the average set of 3s. So I would much rather on the offensive end, let him run some lighter sided wing plays, but on the defensive end, put his butt in the box. Put him in the box.
The problem is
baseline. That's all. I don't want him getting beat at the baseline.
Right, and that's why you can't have him. That's why I don't want him playing at 3, because he's getting beat by, the 3rd string forward that they have. He's getting beat backdoor 3rd string forward. But when he's got his back to the backboard. Not when he's got his back to the sideline. When he's got his back to the backboard, he's playing a lot better defense. When he's got that guy driving in. Not that he's blocking a bunch of power forwards and centers, but he's definitely, he definitely showed his worth on that help defense side in the paint against guards driving in. And I would much rather have him doing that task as that extra help at the power forward slot than to be the guy that's guarding your LeBrons and your Kawhis and your Paul Georges. And I don't want that. He's
problem is who's guarding the three?
Exactly.
Because you can't have Obi guarding the threes. Hell no.
Well,
I think he has the best chance of developing defensively for that position.
Especially under Thibodeau. Thibodeau might get him. Thibodeau and Payne might be able to get the footwork a lot better.
We don't need him to be a lockdown defender. All we need him to do is be a decent defender, to stay in front of this man and use his length to make shots difficult.
Listen, I need him to be. I don't know what you're talking about. I need him to be a lockdown defender. Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, we would love it. We would love it. We would love it. But for him to be able to stay on the floor and not be a liability, it's not about. There's really no defensive stoppers. It's about making shots difficult. If he could do that, he'll be fine at the 3 or the 4.
Frank's our only defensive stopper.
But as far as our roster goes, we still need somebody for Durant's, for LeBron's, for Kawhi's. He's best suited for that body-wise.
Size-wise. Let me get to this phone call. Caller, you live, man. What's popping?
Oh, Sim, what's up, man?
What's going on with you, brother? How you feeling?
I'm doing all right. I just want to say a couple of things, man. I know you got a bunch of callers online. First of all, your show is top-notch, as you know.
Appreciate
you. Got the patience of a saint. I couldn't do it.
To deal with Isaiah, you got to.
Yeah. You and Isaiah, man. Oh, my God. Okay, so, look, first of all, I know Knicks Nation is large. So you're going to have all types of differing opinions. No question about that. But I want people to understand the trade between Washington and Houston has nothing to do with us.
Thank you.
That's $132 million with another $132 million. Got nothing to do with us. Sam, we're not involved with that. Unfortunately, because of the last 20 years, we are used to looking at shiny objects. I want people to, instead to look at the shiny objects, look at how Miami built their team. Look at San Antonio built their team.
Right.
Look at how Boston built their team. Look at how Denver built their team. This is the template that we want to follow. If you see that template, understand this is the beginning of that template. I can understand people's impatience because we've been totally a bomb for the last 20 years. But now, with Thibodeau and crew, this is a different situation. Okay? We are not trying to get the shiny object. Listen, I don't care if we got 5 midgets starting. We have a system in place with Tom Thibodeau and crew that's going to build us in the next 5 years. Brethren, we are not trying to make the playoffs this year. I mean, if we do, it's a blessing. But we are trying to be contenders for the next 20 years. You don't do that overnight. You do it with a culture that starts with management and coaching. Never mind how many point guards we have. That doesn't matter. What matters is, are we trying to get better every day? Are we going to have players that never quit on a play? Are we going to have a defense that sprints back? Are we going to be able to play the basics with discipline? And let me tell you one more thing, Sam. I'm going to let you go. Mm-hmm. The reason that Thibodeau was talking about Obi and RJ is not because of just their talent. let me tell you something. They are outworking everybody else on the roster. That's why he's talking about them. They have talent, and he said that. That's the obligatory thing to say. RJ has a lot of upside. Obi's athletic. That's like saying Garden is the Mecca. But the real deal is those two kids are outworking everybody else. That's all I want to say. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate you. I hope that they're outworking everybody else, man. We need them. Bottom line is we need those guys to lead the way. If they're going to be the future, then you need those guys to lead the way. You know what I mean?
You heard about what happened at Dayton when Obi ran his brother into the ground and he decided to transfer?
Yep. Matter of fact, we had the guy on telling the story the other day. Yeah.
And then you heard about today when Austin Rivers just shaking his head because he's telling us that Obi is more than just a great athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you saw the look on RJ's face when they asked him about missing the all-rookie team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last year, boy, came like a dog. Listen, man, these cats are, and that's why Thibodeau responds to people that work hard.
Right.
Okay, and so that's what we're seeing right now. So that's all we can ask. If no matter how, forget the win-loss record. If we show up every night to play and compete, we're going to be all right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Right. I definitely agree with you on that one. Like Thibs says, man, you work hard, you do the little things, and good things happen.
Exactly.
And he's not putting a name on what that good thing is, just good things happen.
Well, what will end up happening is eventually you'll end up winning.
Eventually, exactly.
You will end up winning.
Exactly.
See, again, we're not talking about this season. If we make the playoffs this season, that's a bonus. What I'm saying is, over the next 5 years, we develop a system that now we're already always talking about playoffs. See, the Knicks of the 90s were like that. You remember, from the time Pat Riley got here all the way through Jeff Van Gundy, it wasn't like, will the Knicks make the playoffs? It's how deep will they go?
Right.
Okay?
Right.
We haven't been there in 20 years. When we develop this thing right on the foundation, we'll be back in that conversation.
Exactly.
And that's all we want at this point. That's all we want.
Exactly. Raw, I appreciate you, man, and I'm looking forward to next week when we knock out this podcast, man. Looking forward to it.
I'm gonna have my connection all set, man. Forget that stuff, man.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. We gonna knock it out, man. I did all the edits, so they don't even know. I did all the edits. They go back and check out the video. They don't even know. It sounds perfect, so it's good.
All right, my brother. Thank you.
I appreciate you, man. Peace.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
He on point, though.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen. It's gonna be a battle, and I know there's a lot of arguments about this power forward battle right now, and whether or not Obi Toppin is going to be the starter or if it's going to be Julius Randle. I tend to feel right now it's going to be Julius Randle that's going to be the starter. And let's listen, if Obi Toppin comes in and he's just blowing the lights off of everything, then, and he earns that spot, then he gets it. Bottom line. I tend to think at this point, it may be Julius Randle. If Obi Toppin is who everyone says he is, then of course that's going to be his position.
Tim, I got a proposition for you.
You know what I'm saying? My question about it is a little bit different. My question is, how is that dynamic going to be between Julius Randle and Obi Toppin? You know what I'm saying? Is it going to be, is Julius Randle going to be like, man, this guy is my eventual replacement and be upset? Or is it going to be like, this guy might be my eventual replacement, but, this is still a brotherhood in the NBA, and I'm gonna help this guy, do what he needs to do to be successful in the league and let the chips fall where they may.
Tim, when Obi Toppin's done with him, when Obi Toppin's done with him, Julius Randle's going to be requesting a trade.
He's not going to request a trade.
He don't have the power to request a trade.
Why would he request a trade? Check this out. Why would he request a trade if this is the last year of his contract? I mean, it's not, the Knicks have the option. They have a team option anyway. You know what I'm saying? So he could,
because he's not going to want to come off the bench. If he's coming off the bench, I've said it before, if he has to come off that bench, there's going to be problems in the locker room. He's going to want out.
They're going to trade him at the deadline anyway, probably.
He's not going to want to go from number one option to going to be the bench.
Well, here's the thing, Joe. Here's the thing. If he does have that mentality, then he was never a team player then.
He was never a team player anyway. You've seen him.
So let me where in the history of Julius Randle have we ever heard that he's not been a team player?
No.
That's what I want to know, because hold up. Regardless if you like him or not, where did we hear anything ever about him being a bad locker room guy, not wanting to do this, not wanting to do that?
We haven't.
We haven't per se, but what I was going at, Sim, was if what Joe is saying, if what he's saying about having that mentality, if that's true, then he was. That's why I'm saying that he was never a team player. Then.
But what I'm saying is, where are we getting that he has this mentality?
We don't know. Okay, we don't know, but we're throwing it out there is. If Obi is going to be the starter and Randle's going to be coming off the bench, we don't know what his mentality is going to be like.
Listen, man, if it was a fifth, we all be drunk, right? True. We can't keep throwing out all of these ifs and all of these wild and crazy assertions. No,
but Joe brought it up, so that's what I'm saying. Joe brought it up.
Fair enough, and so I guess this would be directed towards Joe then. Like we can't keep bringing up all of these wild assertions and assumptions about stuff. First off, none of us are in that locker room to be able to understand the mentality that any of these players actually have, the relationship that any of these players actually have. So as long as we can all sit here and collectively say we're coming up with assumptions and we're all speculation, I'm cool with that. But for all the things that we would like Julius Randle to actually be, we don't know the chemistry that he is going to have at all. Point blank, period. We don't understand that chemistry, and not for nothing, for all the things that we, collectively as a fan base hate Julius Randle for, they're all really coaches' issues that can be fixed with coaching. Right? We don't like the guy spinning into the paint. Right? That's a coaching issue. Right? Yeah. You got a coach that's going to say, hey, when you're driving right, if there's a guy that's on the left side of that wing or the left side of that block, don't spin the other way into him, right? That's a simple coaching and position issue. Yeah. But when you have someone that's like, hey, I'm told I got the keys to the city and I'm going to play for the team, that's what he's going to do. And that's simple coaching issues that can be changed. Same thing as far as his defense. That's coaching issues that can be changed. But you don't just say, hey, I'm going to try to get rid of a 20-10 player. You just don't do it. It doesn't make any sense, especially on an $18 million contract. It's light work.
So
I personally don't care who starts.
Yeah, so
I personally don't care who starts.
But you're saying a 20-10 contract. You look, he got paid $18 million. He's a power forward that can't defend and can't shoot, and he got $18 million. The Knicks overpaid.
But see, that's just crazy to me, because have you ever gone down a list of players that make $18 million in the NBA? To see what kind of production they put out?
A point a million.
Taking into effect his age, and then taking to the effect that he's improved every single year after year after year, not including last year, which was still a productive year. He's on a rise. Production's going up.
And as a matter of fact, he came off the bench for New Orleans in the beginning of the season.
Right, but they had Anthony Davis on there too.
I'm just saying. I get it. They had Anthony Davis, but I'm just saying he came off the bench for New Orleans for a certain amount of time. And
what about
I didn't hear anything about any kind of issues with Julius Randle when he was coming off the bench in New Orleans.
But he was playing behind Anthony Davis.
I get it. I get that. All I'm saying is, you know, we're sitting here saying that he won't accept a certain role when history has said the opposite. Now, clearly, this is a situation for him, right? But everyone is just coming in and saying, oh, yeah, he's not going to accept it coming off the bench. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. And we don't know that. The $18 million contract thing, to me, is preposterous. It's just crazy. There's players in the NBA that make $18 million that are the fourth option on their team.
But can they shoot?
Hey, Julius Randle can shoot. He not a high percentage 3-point shooter.
That's not game though, bro. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is everyone acts like we paid Julius Randle $30 million a year.
Right.
$18 million. $18 million is not that much money in the NBA anymore, and it's definitely not. It's definitely not.
Can I say something?
Hold up. It's definitely not number one. Your number one player money.
These are the same guys that wanted to play Beltran's $18 million, and all he does is shoot. So you guys want to pay a guy $18 million when all he does is shoot, and get mad at a guy getting paid $18 million that does multiple things.
Right. He rebounds the ball well. You know, he has the ability to slightly facilitate. You know, he gets buckets in the paint. He boxes out very well. You know, like the things that he does do well, no one, you know, and again, I'm not the guy that's going to throw in the Superman cape for Julius Randle. Like, for all the same reason that everybody else hates him, you know, I don't like him either. But I do understand that a lot of what we're talking about regarding Julius Randle is coaching issues. Like, if just let's be honest with it. Just be honest with yourselves. Knowing that Julius Randle is probably more attributed to like a Charles Barkley style of play, right? Knowing that that's his pedigree. If we stop Julius Randle from spinning, none of you guys would have a problem with having Julius Randle on his team.
Yep.
It's
the spinning that makes everyone mad. It's the spinning into the turnovers, right? None of you guys would be upset and angry about Julius Randle and his play, because you guys know that his role on the team is he's a bruiser in the paint, and on defense, while he's not a crazy shot blocker, he's going to box out and he's going to get you 10 rebounds a night and maybe 13 on a bad shooting night on the other team. None of you guys would be upset. Because we were on a losing team, right? And he did turn the ball over, and he did make the most money on the team. Everyone, it's all eyes on Julius Randle. Period.
That's not my problem. All right, go on ahead, Isaiah.
I was just gonna say though to that. I mean, listen, if he turned down the turnovers and the spin move, I mean, personally, I would like Julius if he had the role he had in New Orleans. You know, when he was coming off the bench and doing what he did now. If he's willing to accept that for Knicks' future, then I'm all about Julius Randle, because I like played.
The problem with talking about that Julius Randle role, right? The problem with talking about that Julius Randle role in New Orleans is that role blossomed for him after Anthony Davis got injured. And when Anthony Davis got injured and Julius Randle became the starting...
One at a time. Hold up, Isaiah.
When Anthony Davis got injured and Julius Randle came in, that's when he took off, right? Yes, he was playing decent under Anthony Davis, but when he took off was after Anthony Davis was down and after Anthony Davis said, I want out. But that's when the Julius Randle that we have now, who we expected now, is what we wanted. Julius Randle shot, look, I'm looking at the stats now. In 2014, Julius Randle did not shoot a three. 2015, he shot 27% from three, 27% from three the second time in 2016. 2017, he shot 22%. Then 2018 season, he shot 34%. And everyone's like, oh my God, look at what he was doing, right? He got 30 minutes a game that season. But before that, it was 26 minutes, 28 minutes, 28 minutes, and 14 minutes when he was playing with Kobe, right? And when he was playing with Kobe, he wasn't shooting. He wasn't shooting, right?
But the game was different, though, Evergreen, a little bit back then.
Bro, 5 years, everyone keeps talking about this game being different, and the game is full of a bunch of shooters. Bro, that is a myth. That we only looking at it because Golden State won a championship with two of the greatest shooters on the planet.
It's not a myth if it's true, brother.
Bro, it's only 3 teams in the league that have super amazing shooters.
Evergreen, let me ask you a question. Okay, Evergreen, let me ask you a question. What was his assist like? You're running down those stats. What was his assist like?
All right, so I'm running over there. His assist under the Kobe year, 0. 2015, he averaged 1.8. 2016, he averaged 3.6. 2017, 2.6. 2018, 3.1, and last season 3.1. Right? So we're literally getting the same player. It's just he spiked last year after the Anthony Davis trade.
Okay, so my problem, I would like him to pass just a little more. That's my only gripe. That's
Listen,
it.
And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that on that end. Again, like I said, I'm not caping for Julius Randle.
Right.
But everyone has this misconception that Julius Randle was supposed to be this 3-point shooter. He's supposed to be this guy that's supposed to shoot 35% over 35% from three. Like that was never his game. He was always the guy that was in the paint, trying to bruise you in the paint or helping and assisting on running a fast break. And being the last man with the ball on a fast break. Yeah. So we can't go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me jump in here because
insurance for
sorry
this.
about that. Let me jump in here because Kev, behind the point guards, he was the next highest. He passed the highest percentage after the point guards on the team
because he had the ball in his hands more than anybody else.
I mean, but he had a higher pass percentage than R.J. Barrett.
Yeah, because he had the ball in his hands more than R.J. I know R.J.
Yeah, there's only one ball, bro.
No, bro. What I'm saying is, it's not. You look at the amount of attempts, and then you look at the percentage of passes based on the attempts. Right, so if you had the ball 10 times and you passed out of that and you passed the ball 5 times, that's 50% of the time you passed the ball. If I had the ball 6 times and I only passed it 1 time, right, that's 6% that I passed the ball. So it don't matter how many times you had the ball, it's the percentage I'm talking about. The percentage that you passed the ball when you had it in your hands, right? He had the next highest percentage behind the guards. The point guards of passing the ball.
Sam, I'm not going to. I know
I'm just saying you can go look at the statistics yourselves. I'm not saying that he is a perfect player. What I'm saying is everyone gets these things in their head and then they hear everybody else and everybody rolls with it, but no one actually goes to look at what actually happened.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Because I was there at one of the games, I was there at the Philly game, and saw it up close of him. I know you're going to kill me for this, but I saw it. I saw him looking off R.J. Barrett.
Okay, tell me what that means.
When he looked him off, when R.J. was open.
No. Tell me what looking off means to you.
Looking at him and then
I'm not asking you, Joe. I'm asking Kevin. Tell me what looking off means.
Looking off means RJ's having his hands wide open, looking at him, and then just turning and either trying to go for the shot or passing it to someone else, where RJ had a higher percentage to hit the shot.
And where was he when he looked it off?
he was on he was at the top of the key.
Yeah, I was at that game too. He was at the top of the key.
Okay.
I know what play you talking about.
How many turnovers did Randall have?
He averaged 3 turnovers a game.
Oh, so that's my God. So Jesus, that's basically 0 then.
0 what?
So if he had 3 assists and 3 turnovers, then
you mean it canceled itself out? Yeah, it canceled it out. No doubt about it. He canceled that, but we didn't bring him here to. It canceled it out. He's got to kill the turnovers. There's no doubt about it. He's not the only one, right? Yeah. But he's got to stop the turnovers. But what I'm saying is, yes, maybe there were times when he didn't like. To me, looking someone off is when you purposely say, "I'm not going to give you the basketball. I don't like you."
Done it several times last year.
Hold up. Let me finish. Right? Because I can also point out several times when he passed the ball to him.
Well, that's what he's supposed to do.
But what? Hold on. Time out. How many do you play? Get on the court and play. There are times when you look and you see the guy open, and maybe you can have a mental lapse, whatever it is, and you say, all right, I'm going to pass it over here because we're trying to make this happen or that happen or whatever. I can guarantee you that I can point out more times that they've had pick and roll plays, handoff plays, RJ cutting to the basket, that he passed him the basketball. People only look at the times when R.J. Barrett supposedly had his hands high in the air, but I can point out several times when Frank Ntilikina had the ball and passed it to somebody else, and R.J. Barrett had the ball in his hands. Reggie Bullock had the ball and passed it to somebody else, and R.J. Barrett had the ball, had his hands in the air. Marcus Morris passed it to somebody else, and R.J. Barrett had his hands in the air. And I'm not saying that because R.J. Barrett is selfish for the basketball. I'm saying that because that's what he's taught to do.
But my problem
have your hands in the air ready to catch it.
Yeah, my problem is he did that, a few times in that particular game. And when RJ took, when RJ had the mentality of saying, okay, if you're not going to pass me the ball, then I'm going to do it then I'm just going to take it myself.
And that's also a myth because RJ Barrett, you would think R.J. Barrett would have one of the highest assist rates on the team. He does not.
Jump in, Tony, because I know you right there.
Yeah, I'm going to get you, Tony. R.J. Barrett averaged 2.6 assists per game. For him to be this all-around player that everyone says that he is, and I'm not coming down on him, why is it not more? Why? Because he looks to shoot the ball as well. That's what he's asked to do on the team. He looks to shoot the ball too.
All right. Well, like I said, that was just I guess that was just the one game. Seeing it up close.
Right. And for Isaiah, R.J. Barrett averaged 2.6 assists per game, and he averaged 2.2 turnovers a game as well.
Again, right?
What I'm saying is people pick players that they don't like, and then they bring out all these things against that player when other players do the same exact thing, but they give it a pass. You gotta look at the entirety of the basketball game to see how things play out. That's what bugs me. You know what I'm saying? And Randall is not a perfect player. Far from it. And he's probably best served, maybe he's best served as a guy coming off the bench. Right, but for people to just strictly sit and say it's his fault, it's just preposterous. I gotta say the word right. Preposterous.
I do want to say this before Tony goes.
Let Tony go.
Yeah, that's
not only do you have to look at the entirety of the basketball game, but also look at the entirety of the season, because I think we should all notice that those turnovers slowed down and almost halted by the end of the season. Julius Randle improved as the season went on. So let's remember that. Because I remember clearly he lost 3 games for us in a row.
Mm-hmm.
3 games in a row for us with that spin move turnover. So I was soured on him too. But at the same time, let's acknowledge that was early in the season.
Yeah.
He stopped all that.
So
almost everybody improved by the end of the season.
By the end of the season, the Knicks by the end of the season, the last 6 games of the season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games of the season. The Knicks were 4-3. Julius Randle in those games, they beat Chicago, 22 points, 10 rebounds. He only shot 2 threes. He missed both of them, but he was 7 for 15 from the field. People want to go crazy about shooting the ball. He averaged 15 shots per game. That's not a whole lot in the NBA. I'm sorry. The next game, they beat Houston. He had 16 points and 16 rebounds plus 4 assists. He did have 3 turnovers. The next game, they lost to Utah. He had 33 points and 11 rebounds in a loss to Utah. They lost to OKC. He had 12 points, 8 rebounds. He had 22 points and 12 rebounds against Detroit in a win. He had 33 points and 11 rebounds against Atlanta in a win. Say what you want. The Knicks went 4-3 over that stretch. The last 2 months of the season, the Knicks were 500, and Julius Randle had games of 20 points and 11 rebounds, 22 and 15, 16 and 14, 16 and 18 rebounds, 20 and 8, 20 and 8, 17 and 7, 35 and 18, 21 and 13, 17 and 12. Where else are we getting 30 and 10, 22 and 10? Where else are we getting that production? In games that you win. In games that you win.
Yeah.
And Sim, on top of that, we have one of the worst field goal percentage teams in the league. We went to the bottom of the league last year in field goal that. Julius Randle is a great ball player, man. I mean, he hit for $18 million. He gave you 18 points. A million a point, you know what I mean? But he got 10 rebounds. I didn't think about it. We had no shooters. When Julius Randle got that ball, who he gonna throw it to? Alfred Payton? He can't hit a 3. My man, Todd Gibson can't hit a 3. They didn't have no shooters around that dude, man. It was all just RJ was a rookie coming to his own. No shooters around that cat. If Julius Randle would have had the 3-point shooters, Knicks would have been a different team, man, because he would have got that ball. They couldn't have collapsed on him because they couldn't have left the perimeter open. He could have just threw it back out to the perimeter, bang, bombs away. That's all it was. It was packing the paint on him, man. That's all it was.
My point is you don't put Charles Barkley in a game to jack up threes.
Right.
That's not,
Randall's Charles Barkley now?
Randall's Charles Barkley? Wow.
My point is they have similar games, right? They play downhill. You kidding me right now? Charles Barkley is not a downhill bruising power forward.
He is, but 20 times better.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not.
He's not saying he's Charles Barkley.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's Charles Barkley. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you were to compare both of the two's playing style, they play similar. And with a player like that, if you want to utilize his strengths, you don't put him up beyond the arc. You just don't. It just so happened that last season he shot 34% from 3. So everyone has this expectation that, oh, wow, because he shot well for 1 year out of his 6-year career, let's go ahead and start getting him to shoot threes. And then when he doesn't make them, everyone's pissed off at him. Listen, I get it, right? Everyone has this notion that the whole entire league is switching over to 3-point shooting, which I personally believe is a myth, and I'll save that for another day, another conversation. But you don't get mad at Julius Randle for doing bad at stuff that you already know he does bad at. You know he's not a 3-point shooter. So when he shoots bad threes, you can't get mad at him, especially if he's the only scoring option we had, especially even after Marcus Morris was gone. Who else was a real bucket after Marcus Morris was gone? Nobody was expecting Marcus Morris to be a bucket. Right? Marcus Morris had never been a bucket his entire career. And now all of a sudden he comes to the Knicks and he goes off. Right? Yeah. Julius Randle was the guy that was the battery was put in his back by the front office. They told him, go out there and get buckets. You're the leader of the team. So that's exactly what he did. Now we're under a whole new regime, under a coach that's probably going to take him out if he spins and gets 1 turnover. Right? So we can't get upset about something that happened last season for attributes to a player that we already know he doesn't have a history of being good at shooting. Right. We just can't do that. It's illogical to do that. You can do what you want. It's illogical to be upset about it.
And check it. We everybody gets happy about Brandon Ingram for his ascent, right? 9 points a game, 16 points a game, 18 points a game, 21 points a game, right? Julius Randle, first season, played 1 game, 2 points, no rebounds, right? That was 2014-15. 2015-16, he averaged 11 points, 10 rebounds. Then 13 points, 8.6 rebounds. 16 points, 8 rebounds. Then 21.4 points and 8.7 rebounds. 19.5 points, 9.7 rebounds. That is a constant. That is him continuing to ascend throughout his career.
And no max contract.
And no max contract. The Knicks shot 44.7% from the field last year as a team. Julius Randle shot 46% from the field. I mean, I've never seen a guy get killed as bad as him for having a career where he continually ascended in his career, continuously getting better.
So should we blame the coaching staff?
I mean, listen. I mean, listen. It's part of it. Julius Randle is part of it as well. Everybody on the team is part of it. Julius Randle made mistakes. He shot 27% from the 3-point line. Early in the season, I was like, yo, why does he keep shooting threes? He was bricking everything. He shot 27% from the 3-point line. He turns the ball over 3 times a game. He's got to learn how to pass out of double teams quicker. He's got to understand and be able to see the floor defensively. There are times when he takes off defensively. He's got to work hard on every single defensive possession. He could probably rebound better than 9.7 times per game. He could probably average 12 or 13 rebounds per game. There's a lot that he has to do. There's a lot that everyone on the team has to do. It just blows my mind that a guy, I mean, look, I'm going to ask you this about Obi Toppin. In his rookie year, the stuff that I read off about Julius Randle, especially at the end of the season, is Obi Toppin doing that in his rookie year? That's what I want to know.
But see, the problem with my problem.
No, answer my question. Answer my question. Is he doing that in his rookie? Is Obi Toppin, and maybe he will. But in your estimation, is he going to have a game? Is he going to have a game of? He didn't have it for the Knicks, but Randle had it for the Pelicans. Is Obi Toppin going to have a game of 45 points, 18 rebounds?
I think he's capable.
He's capable. We don't know. Not in his rookie year. No.
Only if he's playing against Enes Kanter.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my problem with Randle is you can't have him, RJ, and Mitch on the floor together unless RJ gets better at the shooting and Randle can put up the shots too. That's my only issue. Randle's a good player, but he just doesn't fit what we're doing. He doesn't fit unless Mitch can pull out and stretch the floor.
So this is what I don't understand. And this is not to say that I want Randle over RJ or over Mitch or anything like that, right? How come it's not that Mitch doesn't fit what we're doing because he can't shoot, or that RJ doesn't fit that we're doing because we can't shoot, or that someone else doesn't? It's automatically Julius Randle. That's what I don't understand. How do you pick out one player that can't shoot and say he doesn't fit what we're doing?
Well, ask Kev. Kev, Mitch is the cornerstone, right?
Yes.
No. I'll ask you, Joe. I have
the same things about Mitch. I don't know about paying Mitch because I'd rather have a center. Like, I'm even looking at Evan Mobley coming in next draft if we're up there, because I don't know if Mitch is the cornerstone. Like, Mitch can be a good center, but I don't know if he's going to fit what we're doing either.
Nobody knows what we're doing.
No, but
we have a brand new coaching staff. Nobody knows what we're doing.
But we're building the team around RJ. That's what we're doing.
Are we?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I couldn't be sure about that.
Because as far as I'm concerned, I think RJ is still an unproven commodity.
We're accumulating.
So what are we going to build a team around Julius Randle?
Why do you say
why do we have this notion? Why do we have this basketball notion that you have to build a team around one player? Like that is such a played out concept that only exists. That is such a played out concept that only exists for like maybe 4 or 5 teams in the league that have statistically won. Like, we built the Houston Rockets built the team around James Harden, and they went nowhere. OKC built a team around Russell Westbrook, and they went nowhere. Brooklyn didn't build a team around anybody specifically. The Milwaukee Bucks built a team around Giannis Antetokounmpo. They went nowhere, right? The teams that win are the teams that build completely through the draft.
That's what I'm saying we're doing.
And
that's what I'm saying.
Let them finish one at a time. Don't talk over them.
Create proper context to the argument. You just said we're building the team around RJ. That does not imply that we're building the team through the draft if we have Julius Randle. We're building the team the way whoever the coaching staff sees fit. It doesn't have anything to do with one player specifically. We're building a team. We're not building a RJ Barrett cast. We're building a team.
No, but what I'm saying is when you build a team is you have to go by on, was it one of your next and coming, or say your best player. So you're looking at RJ. This is without Randle, right? This is without Randle. Who's the best player on the team when you move Randle? RJ. So you're looking at you, and then you brought Obi in. Why did you bring Obi in? Because Obi's a stretch four that can play beside RJ. The next piece is going to come in is they're going to draft a point guard or another wing. Why are they going to draft them? To put them beside RJ. That's what they're looking at.
But my thing is, we don't know if it's you build around LeBron, you build around Anthony Davis, you build around Kawhi Leonard, right? You build around those guys.
Yes, but we don't know.
Is RJ one of those guys?
Did we know if Anthony Davis was Anthony Davis at day one?
Yeah, we knew what Anthony Davis was when he came into. Hell yeah, you did.
By the second and third year, you knew.
Bro, you knew what Anthony Davis was.
His second and third year? Who was Anthony Davis with his second and third year? Nobody. He was still with New Orleans. What are you talking about?
That's what I mean. So he was still with New Orleans, but they built around him. They tried building
Anthony Davis was. Anthony Davis was already a superstar before he got to LA.
He wasn't superstar.
That's what I'm not talking about LA. I'm talking about New Orleans when he first came in through the draft. I'm not talking about when he went to LA. Of course we knew he was a superstar by the time he went to LA.
Bro,
I'm talking about when his second year of the league. I'm not talking about when he went to LA.
Bro, Anthony Davis for his career is averaging 24 points a game, 10 rebounds.
What was he doing that in his rookie year?
In his rookie year, he averaged 13. Okay,
there we go. RJ averaged 4.
That's cool. That's cool. But he also shot 51% from the field.
Yeah, because he's a big man. Big men are supposed to.
Yeah. Everything is going to be a caveat. Everything's going to be a caveat, right? He also averaged. Listen. He averaged 8 rebounds.
Hey Sam, I stand by what I said. Everybody, I stand by what I said. I've said that RJ and Mitch are your cornerstones. That's how
I don't know about Mitch.
And then you add an Obi Toppin. That's where you build. Am I right, Evergreen? Am I right?
Listen,
because it's not just one player; it's 3. You got 3.
All I'm saying is I would love to sit here and speculate all day. Like it makes for amazing content, but I have absolutely no clue what Tom Thibodeau's vision is for the way this team is going to be constructed. None of us do. We've been arguing about this for the last 9 months about what Tom Thibodeau is going to do with this team. And then sure enough, when we thought we were exactly sure what we had, free agency happened and all of the speculation that we wanted went out the window. So I have no clue who they're intending to build with, to build around. Tom Thibodeau just came out today and yesterday and said the team is up for grabs, essentially.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and speculate all day, but we have no clue exactly what Tom Thibodeau intends on doing. We don't know if he plans on using Julius Randle to his strengths. We don't know if he plans on starting him. We don't know if he plans on putting Obi Toppin at the 3. We don't know if he plans on starting Alec Burks at the 1. We don't know a damn thing. So this idea that we have, so say everyone's like, we're going to build the team around this one particular player, it's all hogwash bullcrap, okay? We don't know. We don't know. So the only thing
hold on. Let me get to Tony. Tony's had his hand up for a long time. The only not cutting nobody off, right? So let me get to Tony. Don't cut him off either.
Appreciate you. A quick point. I feel like in the history of the league, off the top of my head, I can only think of 2 teams that were legit built around one player. And one of them was a primed Kobe after Shaq left.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was an Allen Iverson team in Philadelphia that lost. To the eventual champions, the Lakers.
So
I believe that was with Shaq. But other than those 2 teams, I can't think of another team that was constructed around one player and was successful. It's all about the team, man. That's all.
Yeah, but you have to have, there's at least one piece you have to look at. And when you're talking about when Tom Thibodeau said, every job's up for grabs. But when he was asked about players, the first name he mentioned was RJ.
You don't think RJ could lose his starting spot?
He could if he comes in and he plays atrocious and doesn't live up to what he's meant to be.
What if someone else just plays better than him? What if he's not playing atrocious, but somebody else is playing better?
Name who on the team right now when you look at that roster is going to come in and play better.
Maybe Alec Burks.
We don't know.
It could be anybody. It could be anybody.
Let's not get carried away.
But look, my thing is this. Hold on. My thing is this. You do not know. RJ is still an unproven commodity to me. You know what I'm saying? He shot 40% from the field. He shot 60-something% from the free throw line. He shot 30% from the three-point line. He still has a long way to go. To sit here and say you're definitely building around RJ, to me, that's crazy. Let him get to the point where he's averaging 25 and he's shooting 48% from the field, 37% from 3, 5 assists per game, 7 rebounds, and you know you're getting that every single night. Then you say, yes, we're building around this guy because we know that this is the rock. But you don't know yet. So you're putting together pieces to build a team. And if somebody rises above and becomes that star, then you know, okay, this is the guy that we've got to center things around. We don't know that about him yet. So right now they're just putting, they're trying to put pieces together.
Can I say something?
Yeah, but they're trying to put the pieces around him. Yeah.
Okay.
So am I wrong to say that he's one of the cornerstones? Am I wrong to say that?
Randall's any cornerstone.
No, I mean, he's one of the pieces that they're saying this is a guy that we're definitely going to build with.
You need cornerstone.
That's what I'm saying.
I just wanted to say something.
Yeah, there's 4 corners.
There's 4 corners.
There's 4 corners.
Unless you're running a triangle, then there's 3.
Go ahead, Isaiah.
I was just gonna say, right? So just again, right, when it comes to a lot of these players, again, you don't have to come out guns blazing. You don't have to have like an Anthony Davis type of season or LeBron James type of season, because you have players like Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, all those guys that started off slow. You got Steve Nash started off slow. You got a lot of players that started off slow, but then they became, franchise Hall of Fame cornerstone players. So, that, coming off that part, you can go either way. You can start off hot, you can start off slow, it doesn't really matter. Again, right, RJ Barrett, I do agree with you to a certain extent about, him still having because he still has a lot to prove. I mean, again, he's a rookie. Most rookies have hard seasons. He's in a guard position, which is just to guarding other players and still getting his shots and still playing defense and all these other things that happen to, players like him. So again, we don't know if he's going to be a superstar. I mean, I see what he can possibly be. I mean, we all seen it. We talked about it. We said, he works a couple more percentage of his shots. He hits a couple more free throws. He can average 20 easily. But again, right, we're looking for a guy that can be the guy. And like you said, there's 4 points. If we're talking about cornerstones and squares, and hopefully we're not talking about a triangle. He's one part of it. And again, if RJ's not the option one, he can be one hell of a 1B. He can be a second option, whatever. We know right now we're still a young team and we'll start finding our ways. So, there's going to be, even Sim, you said it like a long time ago. The Knicks, some of these young guys are not going to be on the Knicks when hopefully we're a championship team. Right. They're just not.
They're not.
Sad to say it, but they're not. But again, we're trying to find those pieces out. We have a lot of draft picks. We got young players on this team. We're going to see who's going to be on that hopefully championship Knicks team one day. And, we just got to be patient. We all know we got fan favorites. Like, I'm not the biggest Randall fan. There's people that love RJ. There's people that love Frank. These guys are just
President of the Frank Ntilikina Club. President of the Frank Ntilikina Club. That's me.
I mean, Kev, we love you. Kev, we love you, Cornerstone. We love you, bro.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Cornerstone Kev, man. According to Kev, Michael Kid Gilchrist is the cornerstone of our defense. So take that for what it is.
Sam, you are not a right man.
Take that for what it is.
You are not a right man. You are not. You are not the right man.
Listen, I'm going to get to a phone call in just a second. Before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Print Jurisdiction, man. They got something going on that I think all you guys are like. They're developing comic books out of black civil rights heroes. The first one that they did was Malcolm X. Comic book covers, right? You put them on T-shirts, coffee cups, hoodies. Pretty dope. This first one, you see it on the screen. It says Malcolm, the Prince of Harlem. And it's on a T-shirt. Make sure you guys go check it out. This one here, you can't really see that one there. You see it says powered by knowledge of self. It's dope. It is dope, ladies and gentlemen. You guys need to go check out Print Jurisdiction. They got more than just this. They got a lot of stuff there. The link is in the description of the video, so you can go check out Print Jurisdiction, see what they have. They might got something you like, maybe not, but whatever it is, somebody to go support. But there's a lot of dope stuff there, and you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear a lot more because we're gonna be doing some partnering together as well. For some graphics for NBK and stuff like that. They do some great work, so make sure that you go check it out. Caller, you live. What's popping?
Yeah, what's going on, fellas?
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
I'm good. So I just wanted to state a point that, Joe said something earlier, and I think everybody was disagreeing. Everybody was disagreeing with him. He said Julius Randle is going to request a trade. I agree with him 100%.
Okay.
Never in my life in the NBA have I seen a young player in his mid-20s putting up numbers like Julius Randle puts up, take a back seat. Never, especially on a contract year. Say, for example, Julius Randle takes that back seat to Obi Toppin, and his numbers get slashed in half. What kind of contract do you think he's going to get next season?
The thing, if he listen, you have two power forwards on the team. Even if he comes off the bench, I guarantee you he's still getting 30 minutes a game, and he's still putting up 19. He's still putting up 20 and 10.
I doubt it's going to be 20 and 10. It might.
He did it in New Orleans. He came off the bench in New Orleans, and he did the same thing.
No, his numbers started to go up when Anthony Davis went out.
But I'm saying, if you go look at the numbers before Anthony Davis went out, he was putting up the same numbers off the bench. Go look at the numbers. You can go check it out.
I don't remember it being what he was putting up once Anthony Davis went out. I remember it was somewhere around like 15 and I think 15 and 7 he was putting up.
Clearly, when Anthony Davis went out,
his numbers started booming.
So check this out. This is Julius. Hold on. This is Julius Randle at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Right. For New Orleans. 25 and 8, 13 and 14, 18 and 5. Got 24 and 8, 29 and 3, 26 and 8, 22 and 15, 17 and 12, 19 and 11, 21 and 10, 21 and 14, 22 and 10, 13 and 10, 29 and 15. These are games coming off the bench.
Okay. Well,
right? So I mean, he was putting up numbers.
I just can't see him being at his age of 25. He's still young, taking a back seat to a rookie. I just don't see it. He's gonna be disgruntled. He's gonna be very unhappy. He's going from a number one option, which he probably shouldn't have had in the first place, but he did have it, and he's gonna get pushed back to Lord knows what. I don't see it, and I think he's gonna want out. He's definitely gonna want out.
Well,
and I honestly feel like he should have been out a long time ago. They should have traded him a long time ago, but I don't know what's going on.
I understand what you're saying, though. I get it, right? You know, you're someone who's ascending in your career, and you're like, a rookie comes in, and now he's starting over me, taking my spot. I don't think Obi Toppin is going to start over Julius Randle. So that's why I don't think it's going to. Like, that's why I don't think it's going to be an issue. First of all, there's only 2 power forwards. There's enough minutes to go around for the both of them. I don't think it's really going to be that much of an issue because I think Julius Randle is going to start. Obi Toppin is going to be cool coming off the bench because he's a rookie, and he's that type of dude, right? He's a team first type of guy. And if it has to be a year or 2 that he comes off the bench, I think he'll be totally cool with it. Eventually, we know it's probably going to be Obi Toppin's spot. You know what I'm saying? Unless he proves that he can play the 3 in the NBA, which I don't think is going to happen.
Hell no.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, he could probably do it offensively. Defensively is where, you know, it would be the issue, right? He had problems defending the 3. But I think this first season, I think Julius Randle is going to be starting. I could be wrong. Obi Toppin could just come in and just be so good that you can't help but to start him. I think Julius Randle.
Obi Toppin is seasoned. He's 22 years old, ready to go straight out of college.
Yeah,
so he might come in and he might come in and give Julius that work. You never know.
He could. You never know. He could. I'm not saying he won't. He could. Well, see, he's 22, but he still doesn't. He's 22, but he doesn't have 22-year-old basketball experience.
Right.
Right. So.
All right,
so we'll see how it is.
Appreciate the call.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Be peaceful.
All right, brother.
Great call.
Great call because he agreed with Joe.
He going at the deadline.
I mean, I just think at the beginning of the season, at least at the beginning, Julius Randle will probably start. If Obi Toppin is better, then I think Tom Thibodeau will start him, and then we'll see how Julius Randle reacts. But Julius Randle can get the same numbers coming off the bench, and somebody else might look at him and say, "Damn, you got him coming off the bench. I think he can start for our team and do this, that, and the other thing." Or it could be Jamal Crawford. Who knows?
But Sim, where does he get the minutes if he's coming off the bench? Like, because you can't put him because you can't put him and Obi together. The defense would be atrocious. So
I mean, first of all, there's 48 minutes in the game. That's automatically 24 minutes for both of them.
Yeah, but Obi's going to automatically probably get 30.
I don't think he's going to automatically get 30. I don't think he's going to automatically. You don't know if he's automatically going to get 30, bro.
If they're going to start him, they'll give him close to 30.
I don't know.
They're not going to have him start and giving him 25 minutes now.
Why not? They did that to Mitch. Mitch started and got like 22 minutes a game.
Yeah, Joe, I can't agree with you on that part, Joe. I just can't agree with you on that part. Because it don't matter. It don't matter if you start. You can start. Look, I remember back in the day, Thomas Suffolosha used to start, but James Harden got 35 minutes a game. Like,
Eduardo Nahara started a lot over Michael Finley. Y'all probably even know who Eduardo Nahara is.
Yeah, I remember that dude.
So I think we're so stuck on this idea of starting, right?
It doesn't matter who starts.
Yo, James Smith was on the Knicks. He used to average like 35 minutes and play with. Come on now, he was on the Knicks. He come on now. Like Jimmy used to come in and average 35 minutes a game.
Yeah,
we're so stuck on this idea and this concept of starting somehow automatically means that you're better. And that's simply not the case. It might mean that you fit better with this particular lineup.
True.
I, for one, don't necessarily care about where a player starts at. I may care about, maybe you start Obi Toppin so that you can see, what plays these guys are running. And then you say, okay, maybe Julius Randle plays better against these particular plays that they've exposed. My point is you don't know what you have. You don't know what Tom Thibodeau's motivators are. And this notion that because a player starts, he has to get 30 minutes a game. Like, I don't necessarily agree with that either. Like, I could start a player and he get 10 minutes a game and I pull him out and the other guys are playing, the other 38.
Yeah.
You could split minutes down the middle. Like, whatever your game plan is as a coach, it's your game plan. You're the guy that's pulling a player out and putting them back in. Your players better than anybody. And this notion that you have to play a starter this amount of many minutes it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I would go so far as to say you split those minutes down the middle between Randle and Toppin, just because they both have so different of a basketball game. Like, Randle's the guy who's definitely going to be able to bruise you in a paint. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Obi Toppin's a guy who can stretch the floor, but he's pretty much a rim runner and a fast break guy. They both suck on defense, allegedly, right? So, well, not allegedly. Randle sucks on defense, but Toppin sucks on defense. So it's like, well, what do you want to do right now? You know what I mean? Who do you want to play against? If I'm playing against Portland and those guys are putting, Enes Kanter in a game, I'm putting Randle in a game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it's again, there's so many contingencies that comes in basketball that make a determination for a starting lineup. The starting lineup means those are just the first players you put in on this particular game. That lineup is subject to change when injuries happen, when matchups are different. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that goes into it. So this idea that we got to play a player and start them and play them 30 minutes or play them 40 minutes or whatever the case is, like, again, it's a myth. And then it's even more of a myth because we have no clue what Tom Thibodeau wants to do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's going to be interesting, man. I don't know where Kev went, but we're about to get to this center spot.
We still got to talk about the centers? God damn.
Yeah, we still got to talk about the centers, but this should be a quick one. Go ahead, Tony.
In your coaching experience and also in your playing experience, in your playing experience, have you ever lost your starting spots with someone? And then talk to me about because I'm sure that's happened to you as a coach where you had to, demote someone or promote someone. And I just want to get your personal take on how you felt if it happened to you, and then how your players took to it as far as
right. So
I can answer
again, this goes down to sacrificing, what Thibs was very high on. But go ahead.
So I never lost the spot once I became the starter. There were times like when I was a sophomore and it was like senior night and they started the seniors or something like that. There was one time when we were playing a game and we went into triple overtime. And the coach decided, for the third overtime, he was like, I'm going to play this other guy. And I really wasn't upset. I was just like, all right, cool. I had played. Obviously I wanted to be on the floor, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't going to sit on the bench and not root for my guy to be successful. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to win the game. And we ended up winning the game. And it ended up being a right call because he got a key stop. It was like we have a lead and this other team, they kept hitting threes to send it into overtime. He got a key stop to stop that guy from hitting that last three. And we won the game, right? So he made the right call. I wasn't upset. It was just, and maybe it came from because, there were times, when I was on teams and I didn't come off, and I came off the bench. Before I became a starter, I came off the bench. There were times when I came off the bench and played 25 minutes, 30 minutes. There were times when I came off the bench and played 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So I went through that. As you know, having to come off the bench, and then I became the starter. And so when it was time for guys to be like, hey, coach was like, hey, you know, we're gonna play somebody else for these amount of minutes or this or that. It just was what it was.
And before you get
why you not
to your
tell
players,
him the spot to meet, man? Why you not gonna tell him that?
I said mute him.
Because you don't have a spot.
Before you get to your players, oh man, Isaiah, you made me lose my train of thought. I was just gonna say, winning cures all. So obviously you guys won that game, so you're not gonna be upset,
right?
You know what I mean,
right?
Had you guys lost, you know, that may have changed.
It could have. It could have changed my perspective and be like, yo, if I was in there, I'd have hit whatever shot, or I would have did this, or I would have did that. It could have changed my perspective. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as from a coach's standpoint, there's been plenty of times when I had to demote a player, you know, and not even always demote a player, but put a player in because this person made it where I couldn't keep him off the floor. You know what I'm saying? And this person fit better in what we were trying to do. And you know, and with some of the things that they did on the floor. So, you know, I had to say, hey, I'm going to start this person. And then they asked me why I'm starting. And sometimes I would have to tell a player, well, you're not defending the way I want you to defend. You're not in the right spot at the right times. You're not doing certain things. Or I would just tell them it's really nothing you did. It's everything that this other guy did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Even the little things of like playing pickup ball, and you're like, you know, someone else on the team notices like, oh, you can't guard quicker guards. Like, we're going to switch for the rest of the game. Like even that comes into play.
Yep.
You know, just switch off and we'll figure it out on the back end, you know, and then all of a sudden it works. And you were mad because this dude was the dude you originally got and was cooking you this whole time. And all of a sudden you guys switch off and y'all end up winning the game. Just like Tony said, like all of that is lost. Like, you're not mad. You like, man, we won, but man, why'd you have me switch? Like nobody, y'all still on the court. Like no one's upset about that, you know? Yeah. So we can't, you know, we just can't be, we can't be mad that the coach is trying to figure this out. Now, again, I get what, you know, we're talking about regarding contract years, and no player in history had ever been the starting guy and then came off the bench and then didn't want to leave, so on and so forth. But we're forgetting that technically we still have Julius Randle on contract for this year and next year.
Exactly.
This year and next year. So who knows? This could be a figure it out year for what Tom Thibodeau actually wants to do with this team at the power forward position. And who knows? He could see value in both of them to say, hey, we're going to split it down the middle. Or Obi Toppin could be a bust. Or Julius Randle could get in. Like, we don't know. I get it, Tony. I know. I see what you did. I see what you did there. I get it, though. But what I'm saying is we can't talk definitively if we don't know nothing. None of us know anything. That's my whole point. That's the only reason I come on this show, because everybody talks as if they know. The only thing you can know is what happened in the past. We don't know what the future holds for this team. We could hope, you know, we could Obama hope, but we don't know exactly what's going to happen. You know what I mean? That's
right.
It.
Yeah. So, Devon, go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, right quick before you switch to the center spot. I think Julius Randle already know he's not going to be with the Knicks after this year. I think they drafted Obi Toppin, with the R.J. Barrett, and quickly. I think that's where in the future they're going. I think Randle already know. You know what? He know by the trading deadline, he probably out, because I don't think he's part of that long-term plan. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they're going to sign Julius Randle after his contract and stuff. I just don't think. Much as I love Julius Randle, the boy got skill, but I don't think he's in that. Well, you're going to keep RJ, OB, quickly. I don't think he's going to be around as them kids progress. So I think they're going to move him at the trading deadline, get something of value for him, and then just give it to OB at the 4. But until then, it doesn't matter to me which one start, because Randle got game. OB going to have to come in there and beat that boy out. He ain't like he no slouch. But I do think Obi got game too. I think people underestimate how nice that boy is. I really think that boy going to put some work up in there. I think to me, he got a better jump shot than Zion. He jumped like Zion. Basically, he got the same game as Zion, but with a better long 3-point ball. So I think people are, Obi can do it in college just like any other college player. Yeah, they got to prove it in the pros. All of them got to do that. But I think Obi Toppin is the real deal. I mean, I've seen a lot of, he got that sort of like that Blake Griffin / blah, blah, blah game, but he got a shot, though. You know, he can shoot. And that's what I'm excited to see. So I think Randall will have competition, but I do think that even if Randall start, that's Obi's team next year, though.
Hey, Sam, I wanted to say one thing, Sam. I can say it.
Go ahead. Yep. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I
So
guess as long as it adds to the knowledge, don't dumb us down.
Okay, I won't dumb you. I got you, baby. I won't dumb you down.
This gumbo I cooked was good yesterday.
I just wanted to say, what happened? What happened?
I said this gumbo I cooked was good yesterday.
Hey, I cooked some. Hey, listen, that might be next.
All right, go ahead. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. He's like, ooh, a piece of candy.
Anyways, I just wanted to say, Sam, that we got 800 people in here. We need to get them likes up. Only got 200 something likes. We need to get those likes up, please. We have 800 people in this chat. All you got to do, literally, all you got to do is click that like button. You don't got to hate, just appreciate and click that like button. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
I
appreciate
that. I appreciate that. All right, let's get to
see, y'all, listen, man. Sometimes, Sam, man, you got to let me take control of the show, man. Listen, man. I'm not saying I'm the Michael Jackson.
You went too far.
No, you're not. You're not the Michael. You're Jermaine.
Wait.
Tito. You're Tito.
Jermaine.
You're Tito.
I'm Tito. I'm not carrying nobody luggage.
You might be LaToya. I don't know.
Whoa, listen.
Hey,
listen,
I mean,
really...
if you watched when he made the pizza, the way he was cuffing the dough balls.
No,
I don't know.
Here we go.
Anyway, let's get to the center spot. All right, we really only got 2 centers to talk about. You got number 23, Mitchell Robinson. He's number 23 now this season, right? 7 foot, 240 pounds. His 3rd season in the league, coming up to his 3rd season in the league. And you got Nerlens Noel, 6'10", 220 pounds. This will be his 7th season in the league. And, Mitchell Robinson better come with it. He better come with it because, like someone said earlier, when you're when you're asked about Mitchell Robinson and you transition to Nerlens Noel, it says something, I think. I think Noel might be a Tom Thibodeau type of a player. So, Mitch got to come with it. I think Noel will be good for Mitch. I think this entire camp is going to be good for Mitchell Robinson. Because Mitchell Robinson is a fun-loving type of guy. He needs to be in that serious situation. And I think this is going to be that serious situation that's good for him.
Hey, Sam, I just wanted to say, man, I remember we were talking on, Cooking with Chef Jay. Good show, by the way. We were talking about where Mitchell Robinson had to transition from being that kid, because I'm not going to lie to you, Sam, he hasn't been in a serious environment yet with the Knicks. With Fizdale, that was more like a big brother. You can play around with Big Brother there. You know what I'm saying? You can play the PlayStation when Dad's not around because Dad's gonna make us work. But with the Mitchell Robinson show, that was funny. All that stuff. But I think it's time for Mitch to transition because this kid, he didn't go to college, so there was no structure. He's been in high school where high school you're the man, so a lot of things get to go your way. He has to go in a structure where we're gonna work. We can play a little bit, but after we play a tiny bit, we got to go back to work. All these jokes, all that cracking and stuff, all that, the Mitchell Robinson. So we got to cut that out, man, because at the end of the day, this is your job. This is literally your job. We talk about it because this is the game that we all love, but that's their job. That's their livelihood. He has a young daughter now. He's a father, so he has to remember that he got to make sure that everybody eats. And you can't be playing and be silly all the time at your job. We all funny, but all of us work. Hopefully, all of us work. Not you, Sam. You a made man. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like you got to take your job seriously, man. You can't play all the time a week. You just got to go to work.
Hey, Sim, can you clip that everything Isaiah just said and then just send it to Isaiah?
Hey,
Yeah,
Tony,
no doubt.
Tony, you know what I said? If some of us have a job, we might not. I was talking about you. Just to let you know, by the way. I'm playing, Tony. I know you get that government cheese. I don't know. But
no, man. I mean, Mitchell Robinson better be careful. He better come with it. I think he's probably I'm teetering right now. I think he's probably going to win out the starting spot, but I'm teetering. You know, just because of some of the things that Noel can do. And he's still very young, Noel. He's 26. But I'm teetering. I think Mitchell Robinson should win it out, but I'm teetering a little bit. Go ahead, Evergreen.
All right, this is I guess more so for Isaiah. Did Mitchell Robinson's playfulness or his immaturity, if you will, did that ever show up on the court?
No.
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't think so. I don't think it ever showed up on the court.
So my point is because you brought up the end of the Mitchell Robinson show. First off, I thought that show was hilarious. I loved it.
I did not say the end of the Mitchell Robinson. So I said we need to cut it a little. We just need to cut it sometimes. We don't have to, every week have the Mitchell Robinson show. I'm not saying cut it. I'm not saying that you can't be fun. I didn't say none of that. I didn't say you can't.
Okay,
I think you're going to see less of it.
So even if there was, like I said, I don't think that level of branding for him, if you will, I don't think that took away from his game at all. I don't think that interfered with anything. So the only thing that I would ask of Mitch is that he becomes more attentive. The only thing for the most part, all we want from Mitch is become more attentive on the defensive end and maybe take a jumper from here or there. And he would be the guy that we want. Would everybody else agree with that notion, or is that like a far-fetched thing?
I
right?
agree. Now, I do think on the bench, though, maybe on the court, but on the bench, I think there were times when he wasn't really focused in, playing, doing things like that. But, I think with this regime here, that'll change and that's important. People underestimate, but when you're on the bench, you really need to be focused and know what's happening in the game. You know what I'm saying? Looking at matchups, trying to understand, okay, when I get in the game, what am I going to do against this player? Understanding the time that's on the clock, understanding, who got what fouls, like all those little things you've got to pay attention to so that you're ready when you get in the game. Go ahead, Tony.
Thank you. You know what I'm worried about with that playfulness? When you look at a guy like Dwight Howard, because that's kind of been the knock on him throughout his career, as far as and everybody knows his talent, but they said he was always too playful, too jokey, wasn't serious enough. So I just don't want that kind of reputation to follow Mitchell Robinson, and that's one thing I would worry about with that playfulness.
And I agree to it, because he was, and the great thing with Dwight Howard was that he was serious on the court. He was, but he still had that the attribute of being jokey and always not being serious outside, and it did affect him in the long haul, because people were like, "Do you really care?"
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with you with that about his playfulness, with Mitchell Robinson's playfulness.
And then if Nate Robinson could get away with it with who we had, Brown was our coach.
Larry Brown.
And Mitchell Robinson was terrorizing the locker room on some playful, jokey.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But the Knicks had no structure back then, though.
But they had Larry Brown.
Yeah.
Larry Brown wasn't about none of that stuff, and he still managed to do it. But they wasn't doing none of that stuff in front of Brown. They wasn't doing none of that stuff in front of him. None of that stuff was happening. All those videotapes that they got of Nate Robinson doing a bunch of dumb stuff, none of that stuff was happening in front of none of the coaches.
So again, everyone's fear about Mitchell Robinson being, immature child and all that stuff, like, it's definitely something that's warranted. But I don't know if you put that much stock into it, because the level of production that he was giving you while he was on the field, I don't think that him being immature would diminish that. You know what I mean? I think him
about Dwight though.
I'm saying that's cool. But even with Dwight, Dwight was super immature. Dwight didn't turn around until this year.
Yeah, but I just think that it can diminish his attention and level of detail that he plays with. Because he's not cued in and focused in like he should be. I think that's going to change this year. I hope it changes for him this year. He's still got to let him have his personality, right? But to a point.
I like that he maybe he's that comic relief in the locker room that you need, just like Isaiah's the comic relief for the MBK show that we need.
Well, first of all, I'm the star of everything.
Yeah, but every once in a while I gotta not let him in because I know he's gonna mess up the flow. You know what I'm saying? and you guys don't know the level of detail I gotta hold him to just to get Cooking with Chef Zay popping.
Which will be back on Monday. Everybody.
So, but it's going to be a very interesting season, man. And I'm looking forward to hearing from the guys after tomorrow's camp. We talked a lot about Julius Randle. We should hear from him. Mitchell Robinson, we should hear from him.
Frank.
Right? Frank, we should hear from Frank hopefully tomorrow. We'll probably hear, so I'm interested to hear from these guys and see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I can't wait to really get going next week. I'm not ready to just say, here's the starting lineup. I want to see him play in some preseason games, and then I'll predict my starting lineup before the season starts. But I want to see what they do in the preseason games first.
Man, I'm so excited for preseason, man. To watch some Knicks basketball again, man. I wish it was with all of us together, man. But we gotta wait till next year.
Yeah, but I'll probably do a live stream for that first game. So that should be fun. That should be dope.
Oh, that it's gonna be like over 1,800 people. Like I already know that.
Yeah, hey Sam, I like the competition we got this year. That's one thing I can't say about this year. Each position got competition. I love that, man, because they gonna be battling that, man. Mitch and Noel, Obi and Randall, this cat and that cat. I mean, it's a lot of competition. I think that's gonna be exciting for the team, though.
I'll tell you what,
bring it with each other.
Knox better feel like, hey, I might have an opportunity right now.
He better.
He better.
He better.
He better feel like, let me not squander this.
He better.
He gonna step up, though.
I will say this though, man. Something that I really like listening to the interviews with a lot of these guys, man. That was completely different from last year. Is that a lot of them are preaching team. Was one of the big. A lot of them are preaching team.
Mm-hmm.
That we gotta be together. That we gotta like last year. I felt like last year. When I heard like what's the Marcus Morris. I heard like those guys. They were like just we're dogs and. We're just trying to be this. Like this year, I hear this that we got to be together. We got to be a brotherhood. We got to do this, or we're not going to succeed. So I heard that from Obi. I heard that from Nolan Noel. I heard that from Austin. And I'm just I like that. And then hopefully, I hear the same thing from the guys that's been on the team tomorrow after practice. So I'm really excited for this, man. I'm excited for Knicks basketball. We are back and popping, man. I'm glad, man.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for them to play, get out there on the floor. I'm excited for it. Super excited for it. But hey, guys, this has been a fun show.
Yes, sir.
Been a great show, fun show. Talked about a lot of basketball, breaking down these positions. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have another one just before we get to just before the first preseason game to talk about who we think is going to start out and what we expected from the first preseason game. Obviously, we got a lot more coming up next week and so on, but this has been a fun show. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Hey, I got to do my shameless plug. I'm sorry.
Here we go.
So just to let everybody know, me and you got a show cooking with Sebze. We will be back Monday with a new meal. I don't know what it is yet, but if you want me to pick a meal, please go to our previous video and go comment on it, and I will pick one out. Me and Sim will pick one out, and we will choose a meal to cook, and we'll get the ingredients Monday. Also, tomorrow, Sim, I am going back on Sportscast. It's been a little while since I did one. I'm going on Sportscast, and I'm going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard coming to New York.
Oh boy. Here we go with the pipe dreams. Here we go with the pipe dreams, bro.
It's not a pipe dream, Sim. It is gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you why tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Can we just focus on RJ and Obi?
No, we can't, because we gonna be talking about
do we gotta look for this? Can we just focus on these kids, man?
Yes, no, we're gonna be talking about Kawhi Leonard, Obi Toppin, and RJ Barrett on the team. And it's going to be happening at 3:30 tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I'm getting out of here because this guy don't know what he's talking about. He probably won't even make it tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? he probably won't even do it. If something will come up. He'll have to take his dog out. And you know. But anyway.
When we come on, man, make sure we keep giving that thumbs up to Sim. We got to make sure we keep the chat popping.
That's right.
Every time we come on, subscribe. Got to throw them thumbs up in the chat, man. Sim putting in work for us. We got to put in work for him. Yo, everybody, holler at your boy. Nothing but Knicks. Throw them thumbs up in the chat.
I appreciate it. And let me get, before I get to you, Tony, Die Hard Knicks podcast. Thank you for the super chat. He said it's the New York Knicks, not the New York Knox. Guys either gotta get it or they don't. Thibs said, earn it. I mean, that's it. You're right. And what we're asking about him is, will he be able to earn it? And Kaiser Souls, he says Randall's overrated. His numbers are overstated. How hard is it to put up those numbers when you're one of the only two people really shooting? You know what? I'm gonna ask you that back, Kaiser Souls. Let me see you go in the NBA for any team and put up 20 and 10. Let me see you go to your Y. To the church league that you play in and put up 20 and 10. All right? Do that. How hard is it to put up those numbers? It's hard on any team to put up 20 and 10, bro. If it was easy, anybody would put it up. Mitch would have put up 20 and 10 if it was easy. RJ would have put up 20 and 10 if it was easy. All these guys that we got on the team right now would have put up 20 and 10 if it was easy. That's not easy.
I did it a couple times, but it is hard.
That's not easy. So send me a video of you, at the Y, in your church league, in the PAL league, whatever league you play in, and let me see you put up 20 and 10, and then talk to me.
Hey, Sam, I put up 20 and 10. I put up 20 and 10 when we played.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 turnovers and 10 missed shots.
Exactly.
Hey, Tony, listen, man, I'm the can man. Anybody can get. So trust me, man. African Americans, I'm the can man.
What's the new recipe for this week, man? What's the new recipe?
Well, I don't know. So listen, man. Listen, go on our previous video. Watch that video, please.
Yeah, make me eat pizza. I got that. I ate me a pizza that night.
Listen, hey, man, you gotta call me, man. In the comment section, write down the meal that you want me to cook.
I'll hit you up. I'll do that.
Yeah, you gotta go like and watch the previous video. And please, get these likes up, man. We still got over 700 people. Get them likes up. Yeah.
Right.
Yo, the
way
out
of here, ladies and gentlemen.
Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time.
No doubt.
As always, keep doing your thing.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Joe,
good show.
That's out next time. Joe not gonna play.
Shout out to my guy Ruben Santiago, man. Shout out to Ruben. Thank you for the super chat. He said, love to the fam. He said, what's up, Sim, Tony? Love y'all. We love you back, bro. Peace, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's what people gotta stop doing that, bro. Like they just come in and people just be saying anything sometimes. I have no clue what they're talking about.